All right, Carrie Brown, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I'm really excited to have Carrie on the show today. She's an educator, professional educator, and also happens to be Darren's sister.
Yes.
So you actually have something in common with Mr. Winnie and I. We all like to make woman. Darren feel terrible. Yeah. So
let the bashings begin. I'm ready, folks. Here we go.
No, it should be a really good conversation about education, something we're all very passionate about. But before we get into all that goodness, we're getting into something even better.
Yes.
Mr. Winnie and I are we're all drinking the official beer, the Beer and Business podcast, Lion Creek Brewing, but we have this sinister looking beer. And if you're watching the video, like this thing is super dark. Why is it so dark, Mr. Winnie?
Because it's aged in rum barrels.
Jamaican rum barrels, spiced rum. This thing smells like Appleton rum. It's crazy. So have a little drink. What are you drinking there, Darren?
I'm starting out with a chinchillin, and then I'm going heavy after that.
Wow.
But yeah, that's the Blind Wolf right there.
It tastes like a rum punch in beer made sweet love. It's pretty good.
All right, so Blind Wolf is...
Blind Wolf. Yeah. 10.5%.
This is only available at the brewery, right?
They are releasing it next weekend, and you will be able to buy 4-packs of that.
Oh, so we got a sneak peek.
Yeah.
I feel special.
It's like the sinister color, and we got them in like unmarked cans.
Yeah.
It's like I just felt evil. And by the way, Darren gave it to me in a black bag.
Snuck it out the back,
behind the building.
Yeah.
It lived up to the hype, man. It's pretty good.
They do have a cool label that's going on that can.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it. So, folks, Lion Creek Brewing, Peachtree City. You got to go while you're here in town.
Yes, I will for sure.
It's a great place.
Is the tap room open yet? Or are they still doing
Oh, yeah. Tap room's open.
It has been for like a month, John.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Way to support our sponsor, John.
Every time we do the show, he's half schnockered when we start, so he doesn't remember.
Whatever.
It's all that good Lion Creek beer that he's drinking.
He's supporting your sponsor. He's just doing it not at their location.
Just got to get home.
I'm on your side.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're very welcome.
So, Carrie,
you're going to have this dome of protection all day long. I might as well not even try to fire one across the bow at you.
Just give up now.
We've got insulation today. So, Carrie, you're a professional educator. You teach fourth grade?
So this will be my 27th year. I have done kindergarten first, third, and fourth. And then I also am in a mentoring role for teachers.
Oh, that's cool.
Sorry.
Yeah. We'll get you into the microphone.
I know. Usually
everybody
I'm
does
not
it.
Like doing this. Yeah.
You can lower it a little bit if you need to.
Yeah.
There you go.
Is that
way you
good?
can see over the top.
I know that way you feel a little claustrophobic.
You can see your lobs land on Darren as we give him shit today.
Maybe I had it up so I couldn't see you. Maybe that was intentional.
And it starts already.
Building the beer tower now.
So with all this COVID stuff, every single person it seems like that I talked to is like, oh my God, please let my kids go back to school.
Right.
So I know not everybody has announced yet, but our local school district has announced that they're going back we go back August 6th. Are you guys going back?
Yeah, I'm in Colorado, and that is the same for us.
So you guys, like early August, you go back?
Yep, August 8th or 9th, I believe, for the kids.
Wow.
Probably a lot of people going,
yeah. No, I talked to my brother in Boston, and they're just south of Boston, but they're going back at the normal time. They start in September, though.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know why we start so early in the South. It's weird. And then I'm surprised to hear you guys do in Colorado too.
Yeah, we do. Well, because up in New York, where we have family, they just got done with school in end of June, and they'll go back after Labor Day. So they'll have more time to stress about it, and the parents will have more time to...
I think it's a holdover, because none of the schools when I was growing up had air conditioning. So
it is.
I think so.
We wouldn't want to start in the summer.
Yeah, I actually went to a school that didn't have air conditioning, and all that brick.
That was rough. Yeah.
It's like the body heat radiated inside the room.
Oh, yeah. Fifth and sixth grade boys were just,
smelled terrific.
Smell them down the hall.
So it's hard to believe, but, we will have been with kids being home for 5 months.
5 months.
5 months. And and the thing that's been so crazy and disruptive to businesses is that, not only did schools close early, but daycares did. And daycares are starting to slowly open back up. But like the daycare that our kids went to for after school care and stuff, they're only allowed to be at 50% capacity.
Right.
So not everybody could get back in. So there's still, like, for us, early March, it was like, oh, childcare is gone, and then have a good time,
right?
Which is great for business owners.
Yeah, right.
Like,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then when summer came along, it was like, great, it's summer. We've already been home for 2 months with our kids going crazy. Now we have another 2 months and we have nowhere to go because everything was closed.
Yep.
Go to the
The
brewery.
hardest part about
Yeah. That's true.
Take them to Line Creek. And
Darren Flanagan, folks, take your kids to the brewery.
Yeah.
It's
Actually,
family
they are family friendly.
Wow.
Yes,
And
it's
dog
a very
friendly,
cool place.
too, so.
They are.
That's a whole childhood comment coming out there, but we can talk about that later.
trying to think when we ever went to a bar with our father.
Oh, I
never.
used to go to the VFW. My dad.
Oh, I did too.
Sweet.
The
VFW.
VFW.
Oh, yeah. Filled with smoke.
Yeah.
10-year-old just walking around.
Yeah. And did you die from anything back then?
No,
See, you were a
no, I
hardy
didn't.
kid. Your immune system was fine.
I
You
drank
were fine.
I drank from the garden hose,
Exactly. Yeah.
I remember
Kids are
being in
gonna
the
be fine.
bar and getting quarters so I could do the pool table and not being tall enough to see over as I was rolling the balls. That's giving you an indication of how early I was in the bar.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was daycare for your parents. It's very cheap.
I think I got left there a few
medication.
times.
Yeah.
It's like my dad would leave and then like, oh, forgot the boy.
Yeah.
Go back. Oh,
Where's my driver? He's back at the bar.
So how has this been on you as an educator?
Yeah.
We all think about it from our perspective.
I
Like, gosh, the
know.
kids have been stuck at home. What's it been like for you guys?
Yeah. It was certainly challenging. We literally left we left on like a Friday. We had a stand-up meeting and we were told, this might happen. We have a week of spring break. We might come back. We may not. And literally everyone in the room was like, it's not going to happen. I mean, that was our mindset. That was just crazy.
Right.
And, but we were told to loosely prepare. And so we were on spring break and it was like the Thursday before we were set to come back to school. And we were told, well, you know what? We're going to just stay home for 2 weeks. Can you guys all plan for 2 weeks? We're like, that's easy to do. We can plan for 2 weeks.
Sure. Vacation.
And then they just kept pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. So, I know it was really crazy for parents, but to advocate for all my wonderful educators, we were really, really stuck. We were not given a lot of guidance. We were not all on the same platform via computer-wise. We did not know if we could give grades. Could we keep kids accountable? Could we assign homework? Could we expect 100% attendance on meetings? So we didn't really have a lot of guidance. It was a lot of intuition, which teachers are very good at it. But from the teacher point of view, it was a very difficult spot to be in because it went against everything that education was to me. To not be in front of my students.
Right.
Yeah.
Very hard.
Crazy.
I heard some of the same feedback from other teachers that I know.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you guys give final grades?
We did not at the elementary level. In fact, they canceled some of our state testing, some of our end of the year assessments. The older kids, like secondary, it was basically you are all passing unless you completely just, you don't show anything or don't bring anything in. But at that point, as soon as especially the secondary kids and the parents heard that there weren't grades or they could be accountable, there was a lot of falling off, a lot of falling. And I don't blame them. I mean, for some parents, that's the only thing they have to hold over their heads of their kiddos. It's like, if you don't do this, your grade's going to be XYZ.
Sure.
So we weren't really allowed to make them accountable. It was a little frustrating on our end. But in the sense, how could we? We were in new circumstances. How am I supposed to judge kiddos' work when they're at home? Are they doing it?
Sure.
Is their mom doing it? Are they
doing it right?
Well,
I mean, you're
it's hard.
trying to, you're laying a foundation of learning from year to year. What you're teaching is what they need to go on to the next grade.
Right.
So,
right.
How have you guys talked about that as educators of what is that going to look like next year? I have a feeling you guys are going to be backing up a lot and kids lose enough over the summertime anyway.
They do, right.
So without that, that continuous daily education going on, there's going to be kids that are probably falling back even more. So have you planned for something like that?
Well, to back up a little bit, we weren't even really teaching new curriculum the last 2 months of school.
Sure.
We were told to reinforce and basically assign things that could be done at home easy enough for parents.
Right.
So the kids weren't even really getting live lessons, so to speak.
Oh, wow.
So not to completely discount the last 2 months of school, but let's call it like it was. I mean, we were all doing our very best.
It was a shit show.
Yeah,
we can say it.
Yeah, it was pretty much
not by the fault of the
mess.
educators. And here's the other thing too.
Yeah.
So, like I know in our school system, one of the big things was those last couple months where there was the work that you could do remotely.
Yeah,
It was optional because not every kid's got access to internet. So it's like they couldn't make it mandatory because not everybody had it at home because we got a lot of rural parts of our community.
That's true. Mm-hmm.
And you couldn't go to the library to do it because the library is closed.
Right.
Well, and then there was one county down here where I think it was Spectrum said, we will get for those impoverished areas, they said, we'll give you free internet for this time period. But it's like, okay, but what if they don't even have a computer?
Right.
Yeah, I think a lot of districts, we probably handed out over 500 computers, and we provide, certain districts had the necessary tools.
Right.
That was a huge learning curve, though. And if they're going to have any kind of remote learning, regardless of where the district is, they're going to you cannot do it otherwise. They're going to have to figure that portion out to make things as equitable as possible.
And we're fortunate here. I know in Fayette County, all the kids have Chromebooks. They've had them for a couple of years now.
Right.
So at least they have that going for them.
Yeah.
In this, but other areas. No.
But again, for Coweta County, it was the same thing. But a Chromebook is a brick if you don't have access to the internet, so it doesn't do anything. So that was the big deal. But
it was. Yeah. So to go back to summer slide, the kids really haven't done much over the summer. And me as a parent and an educator, usually my kids my own 2 children would be doing schoolwork over the summer, right? I'm not even asking them to do that because it was such a crazy time. I just want them to be kids, have a normal summer. So imagine all of these kids coming back to school after 4 months or so of really not sitting down and being expected to be a student.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think everybody's kind of been in the same boat because, like with our kids, I don't think we give enough credit to how much this shutdown affected children. Mm-hmm. They don't understand. They can't go out anywhere.
Right.
Even little things. Why can't we go to the store? Why can't we go out to eat? Like I remember when it was really bad after about 4 or 5 weeks of being locked in the house, I took the kids to Home Depot, and you'd have thought I was taking them to damn Disney World.
I know.
Like we're going somewhere? Where are we going? Home Depot? Yeah! What's at Home Depot?
Yeah. I know.
It's just the stuff I find in the garage, Dad.
They were so excited the whole time. Like my little one's walking around like, look, Daddy, light bulbs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah, I know. It's like.
Now take it out of your mouth.
I know. It's not far from the truth. But it's crazy. So we were kind of in the same boat. Like, this is hard enough. Like, I'm not going to make them do a whole lot of work. So I'm pretty much expecting to send them back to school like half dumb.
Well, that's one way to look at it.
Still more intelligent than you, but that's
right,
okay.
Exactly.
So you call it a summer slide.
Yeah, that's what they call it, summer slide.
Is that what I've never heard that phrase before?
Summer slide.
Last year we had patio pounder. This week we have summer slide.
Oh, I never heard of that.
Patio pounder is a beer that
I figured it was more appealing than summer slide.
But summer slide is the amount of.
This year is more like a summer free fall.
I
know.
Oh, summer SS free fall, basically.
Really, it's like it's almost like we need a 2020 do-over as far as education.
Goodness, I know.
Just start them, bring everybody back a year. I mean,
I will tell you, there's a big, I don't want to say controversy at this point, but there are 2 camps that are forming. Mm-hmm. There are camps that are saying we literally need to go back to last year when they left off and start teaching there. Mm-hmm. And then there's the other camp saying, we don't have time. There's too much to teach.
Right.
We have to, assess them quickly to see where they are, and then we got to move from there. And the way I feel is, if you look at all of the standards and everything that needs to be taught, like anything, you have to fine tune and see what exactly do they need to know, big picture. And then what are all the other things, that they can.
If you're just listening, she's roaming away from the microphone.
Because I'm starting to get passionate talking with my hands. But there's a lot of things the Google machine can do for you and find out for you. So in my mind, the biggest thing is how do you get your kids to be resourceful and problem solve and figure out we've got, these are the big rocks we have to learn. And then there's other things that would be great if we did. But if we don't get to that, that's fine. We're going to have different expectations.
So let's just show them where the calculator app is and just skip math.
You made You just made a comment, though, in the beginning of that. Yeah. You started to say, based on the assessment. Now, what you have to teach them next year also has to go with the state standards for these tests that they have to take at the end of the year.
Correct.
You want to give your opinion on what do you think about those state standard tests that they have to take? Are they good? Are they bad? Are they? You don't have to talk about it.
No, I don't care. Here's the thing about testing. I don't disagree with testing. Number one, it's not a bad thing to learn how to be a test taker. It's not a bad thing to look at questions and look through and say what's important information and what isn't. It's not a bad thing to have written expression as well as verbal expression and listening expression. Mm-hmm. There's a better place for it though, and I think testing needs to be more project-based.
Right.
Like, here's a project. Here's the planning. Here's the process. Here's the final project. Because when you go into a business or whatever, they're not going to sit there and give you a piece of paper with a lot of facts to regurgitate. Mm-hmm. So they're antiquated, but they're not horrible. But as far as what I have to teach, I don't base it based on the tests for the kids.
Right.
I just base it on what I know my kids just need to know. Plus, if my kiddos, let's say I'm teaching 3rd grade and they go to 4th grade, you better believe I need to get those kiddos ready for 4th grade. That is my job, is to make sure when they walk into that next grade that they have the tools that they need that the 4th grade teachers are expecting.
So you're teaching not to take that test at the end of the year. You're actually...
No. I think that's kind of a misnomer. Yeah. I mean, we have to do it, but it's not like that's all we're doing is teaching to the test.
Sounds like she's advocating for tests that, require critical thinking.
Yes, I think you might be right.
Something that seems to be absent from pop culture these days.
Yes.
Interesting.
After so much YouTube, I think my kids would fail.
Yeah, me too. I mean, it really kills brain cells faster than this rum beer.
Right?
We are, This COVID thing hasn't really affected us at all because we homeschool from the get-go.
Everyone else is like, oh man, we're off, and your kids are like, damn it, we still got to follow.
They still, though, the peer pressure, since other kids didn't go to school, they're like, no, we don't have to learn. We don't have to do school either.
Everybody's out of school. Why are we?
Yeah.
Right.
They're like, we're punishing them.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Evil parents.
So I have a question. Going back to the, summer slide, kind of getting back into it.
Yeah.
So I know in our district, I don't know what's going on in Colorado, but in our district, we have been given the option on pot's legal in the state, not in schools.
Sorry.
That's a vocational thing that they teach in the upper grades.
That's it. The trade schools.
Yeah.
Right. Seriously, they have degrees for that in our colleges now. So.
They have craft beer degrees.
Not just horticulture, pot horticulture.
Yes, right.
Interesting enough. Mm-hmm. But anyways, in our district, they've given us the option to send kids back on the 6th or put them on an online learning curriculum until we feel comfortable enough to send them back to school. Are you guys doing the same thing?
We are. It's going to be a nightmare logistically.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking the same thing. And I'm also, the thing that concerns me, and just curious to hear your take on how to deal with it, but I already think that there's going to be a challenge whether you start, you said there's 2 camps, whether you start from where people left off or you try to, get them caught up and compress. Mm-hmm. In and of itself is a challenge. But then if you layer on the families that elect to do the online to start, it's probably going to be a hell of a lot harder for them.
It is. I know one way that they're trying to marry these 2 issues that they're having is if you look at the teachers and the teachers' safety, there's a lot of teachers who are not feeling comfortable for whatever reason, or they're, considered elderly, 50 and above.
Immunocompromised.
Including myself. Yes. Yeah. Yes, that would be the word.
Yeah. As of less than a month ago, you are.
And so they're telling the kids.
Welcome to 50.
Well, thank you. It's been great so far.
You can tell him to go to hell. It's okay on the show.
I am with my eye.
That look.
She is. If looks could kill, we'd be cleaning Darren up off the floor right now.
In the nicest way, Dee. Yeah. But so what they're trying to do is they're trying to say to those, that population, hey, then you guys are the teachers that will teach at home. So they're going to take that population and work with them and respect how they're feeling. And then that will be the online school, those teachers and those kids.
Oh, I see.
And so that is one way to look at it. But the reality is you're going to probably have, because I'm sure it's the same with you guys, we still have to think about social distancing in a classroom. So let's say in a typical classroom, I might have 25 kids, more or less. But right now in our state, like our Governor Polis, is saying 10 or less.
What? Oh, jeez.
So the reality of that story is, and that might be similar here, I don't know, but then you're literally having 10 kids come one day to school, and the other 10 are staying home that day and doing remote learning. So you have the strictly online school. Then you've got the kids going to school, but they're also going to have to be at home half of the week because social distancing will not allow a whole class to be in that school.
Oh, shit. I haven't heard that yet. That's
no, they have
nice and simple.
You nailed it. That's a logistical nightmare.
Should we move on to shots now, or is that
yes?
We need moments?
You know what?
Well,
I don't know that we brought enough rum beer. We might need more.
Right.
I know what they're doing in Fayette County. Somebody told me today that they've got the online, but then they're doing the green, yellow, red thing. So if it's green, I guess all the kids are there. If it's yellow, then they have to sparse them out and go to that staggered. And then if it's red, it's like they shut down the part of the school or what. I don't know the whole thing. Somebody go and research it. But that's just crazy. I mean, you're supposed to be, if you're a parent and you're trying to work.
Right. That's the issue.
So your business is supposed to be flexible. Imagine that with your job. If you were a single parent, John, and all of a sudden you're on this green, yellow, red thing.
Right.
You're like,
you never know you and your kids are going to be in school.
Right, yeah. It's
like,
you
can't do that.
I can't do that.
Right. Yeah. So the parents that are like, oh, thank goodness, I'm going to make the choice to send my kids back to school 100% of the time. And I'm going to do my job and they're going to go to school. But if social distancing is still an issue, we cannot accommodate all of the kiddos.
Crazy.
I hadn't heard that, but that's a really interesting point because I got to imagine we're going to be held to the same standard.
Out on the playground. You all can run around, but stay safe.
And you know what?
It's so dumb. It's so dumb.
It is.
Right. Yes.
Thank you. But here's the thing. I think that we're probably going to be in the same boat, but they haven't said anything about it. And I'm guessing the reason why, and curious to hear your thoughts on this, but I bet they probably want to see how many people are going to elect to send their kids in before they.
Correct.
Oh God!
Did you not get a survey of the parents from your district?
We did,
and then
yeah.
Don't they have so different distances for kids? It's like 3 feet instead of 6 feet.
Well, they are smaller.
They did. No, you are
correct.
Thank
you, Darren.
They did.
Well, the virus knows if they're kids, so it doesn't fly as far.
Yeah,
that's right.
It only has to go 3 feet, not 6 feet. Oh, it's
shit! That's a kid. Hold on, I'm going to stay right here.
I thought I read that the other day.
Fucking lunacy.
I once again, I'm going to be in your corner. Can I be in your corner?
Thank you. Yes, I'd appreciate that.
They have said that it's 6, but they also said that 3 would be acceptable, especially in a classroom setting. Okay.
Oh.
Now,
boom.
Because it doesn't spread in the classroom.
Boom. No.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because when little Tommy's over there picking his nose and wiping his boogers on the underside of the desk.
No, it won't be on. It'll be on his mask.
On his mask.
Oh, because then.
Oh, they have to be masked.
Oh yeah. Let's not talk about that yet.
Okay.
Because I have thoughts on that. But are you all familiar with the American Pediatric Association? Just came out with a huge report on their recommendations.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm not aware.
I didn't get the show notes.
Yes.
So I'm not aware
of it. You did not
I'm not aware either.
Wow.
And so they are, obviously people are listening to what they have to say. They are saying, yes, everyone has to go back to school. And they are saying, if it's a scenario where it's 25 kids in a classroom, then you do that. And then you do masks and you do... Are
they going to give them like
thingies.
Little
the acrylic dividers
around all? They're going to do dividers.
They're saying benefit versus risk. If we can't get them all in, then figure out a way. And then we will social distance and mask. Like that's the recommendation, is what they're saying.
Clear cubicles for all the kids.
So, no, you're not going to get a 10-year-old to wear a mask all day long.
Mike. So what am I, my job as a teacher, I'm going to be cleaning all day long. And then I'm going to be like, no, sweetie, no, honey, that's not a boomerang. No, you can't wrap it around your head.
Yeah.
Please don't
Did you just put holes in that to make it a mask? That's no.
What am I supposed to do?
Insane.
And if you want to be, seriously speaking, the whole issue with kids at an elementary level is that social emotional, learning how to talk to each other, learning how to have eye contact,
Yes.
You can't talk
emotional.
to somebody. You can't talk to somebody who's wearing a mask.
Right.
It's like, hey,
insane.
You can't.
It was so
That's
funny.
a huge issue.
This report that came out by the Pediatric Association, was that approved by Fauci by chance? Did he put a stamp of approval on that?
No, I think Trump said so because right now he's saying no funding for you, no soup for you, or no funding for you if schools don't go back.
Oh,
yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah,
there you go.
That's what he's saying.
The science is, the overwhelming majority of kids are basically, well, I'm not a doctor, but asymptomatic.
Yes, you are correct.
It's just like the flu or anything else. As far as
even if they get it,
healthy kids, they really don't have much to worry about.
What's interesting about it is kids from the very beginning have not been contracting this, but it was thought early on that kids would carry it and pass it on to those that are at risk.
Sure.
But now we're starting to see studies that show that kids don't even carry it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like,
they went with the Black Plague theory. Is that what it was?
Yeah, it's not the cats, it's the rats.
Yeah.
Well, and let's just talk about, here's a day, right? Here's a day at school. My kids come to the door. They all get temperature checked. They all wash their hands. The room has been pre-sanitized. And then once they are in that classroom, why, just being practical, why do we need masks at that point? Because the kids are going to be eating lunch in there. The specials teachers are going to be coming into the classroom. We will be teaching. And the kids aren't going to go anywhere outside until it's like a 35-minute recess outside by themselves. Yeah. So once everything has been checked and double-checked, why would we need masks?
No cafeteria?
No.
Wow.
No more food fights. No more poor no.
You know what I tell if I was a teacher, I'd tell my students, all right, when you go home, tell your parents you wore a mask all day. Mm-hmm. If anybody asked you, you had the mask on.
Now let's have some fun.
Yeah. Let's get rid of it.
And then actually try to think after you get hypoxia for the day because oh my Lord.
Right. And what I'm going to tell my kids is,
shutting down. Okay,
Mrs. Brown, can you see my mask? It's invisible. I also have one on. And if your parents ask, I've had one on all day too.
Yes.
The King's, what was that? The King's.
It's so crazy.
Yeah,
this is my favorite. You'll see these people today that are like, Uber mask wearers and they're really concerned about, they won't shake your hand. And you'll sit there and talk to them and they'll pull their mask down.
Right.
Yeah. And
then they can't hear you.
Yeah. And then they'll put it back up and then they'll pull it down again. It's like, it's you've already breathed me in. Okay, just take it off.
I had a manager. One of my managers at work came up to me yesterday, and he starts talking to me. He's got this big black mask on. Of course, he's got the high dollar, super
looks
fancy.
Like
he's got valves on it and stuff. Yeah, it looks like Darth Vader for crying out loud. And I just started,
Mr. Woody.
I'm like, what? What are you saying? Put my hand over my mouth there.
Yeah. And kids are such great listeners to begin with. Can you imagine?
Right.
Oh my goodness. So we have a city in Colorado, Englewood, which is about 15 minutes away from us. Mm-hmm. They literally just passed a mandate. You will get fined. If you are outside without a mask, you will, I think it's $15 for the first offense and like $30 and then possible jail time.
If you're outside.
If you are outside, this is what they're doing for like 90 days or something.
That's, oh my God.
And as a parent, I even brought this up, I don't know to who, but I was like, there comes a point where I'm like, it is my kid. This is my kid.
Sure.
And I'm sending them to a public institution. I'm responsible for them. And so if I need to sign something, whatever it is I need to do to make my kids' experience as normal as possible. But there's almost that point where it's like, hey, when they had the flu, I kept them home. When they had a fever, I kept it. Like, that's me. That's what I have to do. And so the whole idea, it gets a little bit, big brother. But I'm like, I'm a parent. These are my kids. And why can't I have them go to school the way I think they need to go? You ask probably 85% of parents, they do not want their kids going to school in that kind of scenario. They want it to be as normal as possible.
Are you talking about personal responsibility?
Accountability?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Because that's kind of what it sounds like.
It does sound like that, doesn't it?
Jeez, so offensive.
So taking responsibility for your own actions.
Gosh, this is so weird.
I think that's another podcast.
Yeah, and
right? Do you have any experts on that? Does anyone know about that concept?
No, take responsibility for your own actions.
Only the idiots don't understand.
I read about it in the history books.
Right. Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Take responsibility for your own actions until something happens, and then blame somebody else for it because you don't want to be held accountable for what you just did.
Sure. You sound like a politician now.
Yeah. See?
Yeah. They're so hypersensitive about the liability. Mm-hmm. If they go back to school and the class gets infected with COVID, I mean, it's the politician's fault, right? Everybody's going to blame them.
How many kids have you heard of that have died from COVID-19?
I haven't even met anybody that's had
none.
No, one.
Oh, you heard of one?
North Carolina. There was
one. Okay, so that's the first one I've heard of.
Sure.
How many kids die from the flu?
Yeah,
How many kids died in gunfire in the past? In
Chicago?
Right?
Double digits.
Yeah.
I mean,
nobody's talking about that.
I know, it's crazy. So,
yeah, I know.
So I wanted to share something. I actually had a meeting just yesterday. I had a business meeting. It was an hour long. And the lady that we met with was wearing a mask the whole time. And can I just tell you, it was one of the most awkward experiences I've had as an adult. Mm-hmm. Because it's the first time I've actually sat down and had a long conversation with somebody that had a mask on. And I didn't realize how difficult that is.
Yeah.
Like it was really strange. Yeah. It was a really strange experience. It's the first time it's happened because I haven't been around a lot of people that wear masks since it started. And I didn't know, I found myself kind of searching, what look should I have on my face? What response should I have? It was so freaking weird.
Of course, yeah.
First time I've experienced. Mm-hmm. Very, very awkward. I can't imagine putting kids through that.
Then you realized you were in the operating room?
No, I was not. But it was so weird. And I just can't imagine putting kids through something like that.
Social interaction is probably one of the most important skill that they're going
to... Good, bad, otherwise. You have kids at school. They have to navigate when their best friend doesn't talk to them. They have to be able to advocate for themselves, like talking to a teacher. They have to get through school in all of that social emotional. Yeah, kids miss their friends socially, but there's so many other things that are just part of rite of passage growing up. And it's crappy and it sucks and they come home and they're crying and they've had fights or they feel left out. But that's how kids deal with becoming adults.
Right.
And that whole part is going to get skewed because of masks. And now they're not going to see their friends on the playground.
You can't read the person's emotion that you're talking to if their face is covered.
No.
Well, they don't let them wear sunglasses at school. They don't let them wear hats. They can't wear hoodies or anything else. But now we're going to put a mask on their face.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, how else would you know how mad your wife is at you if you can't see her entire face scowl at you?
Hold on a second. Think about that.
I think we'll be wearing masks in my house from now on.
Oh, that can be in your excuse. Honey, I had no idea.
I didn't know.
I had no idea.
What a shocker.
Couldn't see.
You need to speak more with your eyes.
Yeah.
Although after I saw Jake's wife give one of the kids that 1,000-mile stare last night, I was like, I'd never want to be in that, have that line of vision come at me.
Yep.
I was like, wow.
Yeah.
If there was a kid,
it's scary. I speak from experience.
When the kids wasn't there, it would have just burned a hole through the wall. And
laser beams.
Yes. But not only is it awkward, and you're right. I mean, just being in school for a kid is, it's awkward as hell. It's weird. It's hard. It's,
growing up like you, I'm sure it was. But
I want to go back.
Middle school, high school. I mean, those are some of the weirdest, most awkward years of my life.
You give the best wedgies to the kid.
And then you put masks on top of that. But then the other thing too that I don't like, especially for the younger kids, is all this is teaching us to fear one another. It's like the biggest risk is other humans. And it's like, that's the worst antithesis you could possibly teach somebody. Right. Everything in life that's worth anything is because of other people.
Yeah,
things are shit. Things are things, right?
We need to teach hugs.
You do.
We need to teach hugs.
20 seconds.
Jesus.
Builds your immune system.
Who's up
but
for
I mean,
it right
I'm
now?
thinking about the new kids. Like you've got the kindergartners coming in.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is their first experience of school. It's frightening enough. And now, okay, you got to put this mask on. And
and don't touch this one over here.
Yeah.
Right. And you do have a whole population of kiddos who have special needs, who have, issues, sensitivity issues, or, touching things, or I'm going to tell you now that that's going to be a big problem for them.
Oh my gosh.
To wear that. They're not going to be able to do it.
So my oldest is on autism spectrum, and he's had an IEP for all of his school up until last year.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we've had him in occupational therapy. He was in occupational therapy for like 4 years.
Right.
I can't imagine like that period of time between kindergarten and probably second or third grade.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was so difficult for all of us. And it was the most critical years for him because he went from completely socially inept, like just really didn't understand social cues, emotions, to being what most people now think is a completely normal kid.
Right. Sure.
If he had to go through this at that age, I shudder to think what it would have done for us as a family. And there's people going through it right now.
Yeah. And how he would have been pegged as that kid at school, there's things where now, last year when we passed, we were able to pass a big bond for our district. And the huge emphasis was on social and emotional and mental health. So we received a counselor in our school, elementary school. And this wasn't a counselor for kids with IEPs mandated. This was just a counselor for those kids that, were having some issues. She was busy every single day. There were so many kids that needed to talk to her about navigating through life and figuring things out.
Yeah.
And with all the huge budget cuts this year, we haven't talked about that yet, but people don't shop, there's no sales tax, schools don't get money.
Right.
One of the first things that was cut is mental health. So that counselor that we had is gone.
What?
Oh.
And this is the year that needs to be step up, and you probably need extra
even more so.
teacher helpers and the teacher aides or whatever they are in the classroom to help the kids.
Freaking snowflakes.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, Jesus. Shut up.
Snowflakes.
And send your hate mail directly to john@beer.business.
So what was it before that we said?
Get in a fight on the playground and get it cleared up. Come on.
Well, I did plenty of that.
I know.
It's interesting you say that because earlier one of you guys said made a comment about school shootings. But
no, we didn't make this comment about school shootings.
Whoa.
Well,
I thought somebody
school
did.
shootings.
No, we were talking
Darren made a comment about guns.
Yeah, whatever.
It was about. I was talking about the
Darren,
Brady
so
bill.
It was
gun control.
Just say it was Darren's comment.
Yeah, so it was inappropriate and bad. Okay.
Send the flame mail too.
Yes, exactly. But it's amazing to me. I consider myself a somewhat normal person. I said shut up. I said somewhat, okay?
That was a softball, dude. You knew something was coming after that, right?
So I consider myself somewhat normal, right? And for me, going through school are you turning the thermostat down? It's hot as shit in here. Thank you. It was really difficult going through middle school and high school. And I didn't deal with anxiety or depression. And a lot of kids today, like the one thing that we need to give a lot of special attention to is technology.
Yes.
Technology really screws with you.
Yes.
Sure. Yeah.
It's very addictive. I think it emotionally divorces you from a lot of things. And imagine how hard it was for us coming up because we're all in the same age group. We didn't have technology. Now you layer on technology. Right. Like we need to be, I think that emotional and mental health should be one of the first things that we spend on and one of the last things that we cut.
Right. Absolutely.
I mean,
when you and I, we were kids. We'd have a hard day at school, get in a fight or get in an argument or have a really rough day. And we'd come home. Well, the kids nowadays, they can get on electronics and block it out.
Yeah.
But when I would come home, I would go outside and I don't know.
You had to deal with it.
Yeah. You just process it. You just have time
That's
to
what I mean.
think about
Yeah.
But the kids these days, they can just block it out.
Just tune it out completely.
And it's going to come back to haunt them, really.
Yeah, or they can come home and continue whatever they did online.
And
so, kids nowadays socially are inept. Hugely, via all their technology. And now they're going to have masks on, so they can't read people's faces. They're not going to be able to have normal conversations in school. Let's just sit back and watch this big social experiment because 20, 25 years from now, I don't want those kids taking care of me in a nursing home.
Right.
You know what I mean? Oh. Like it's not going to end well.
And the stuff that they watch on YouTube, they watch these YouTubers that the stuff that they're seeing is so far from reality.
It's so far. Yeah.
They see these people that make it big in YouTube, and they're like, oh, today we're going to...
Was that a really nice way of saying it's dumb? I don't know. It's just...
No, it wasn't very nice, actually. I'm getting ready to rip into them.
Okay, go.
But it's like these freaking morons are like, oh, today we're going to fill our swimming pool with peanut butter and see what that's like. And I mean, they do like this ridiculous stuff, and the kids are like, hey, can we put peanut butter in the pool? It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Oh, YouTube, of course.
We're going to empty split 1,000 Oreos and see what you... Yeah,
they do this stupidest shit.
Yes.
And they're making bank though.
They're making millions, and then they see these people that are doing this driving friggin' Lamborghinis, and it's like, oh well, that's
that's what I want to do.
And then you get a what do you want to be when you grow up? Policeman, fireman? No, I want to be a YouTuber.
Oh yeah, like, my kids. I've heard that from my kids.
Oh my gosh.
I've had my littlest ask me if we could fill balloons with paint, and I'm like, dude, you ever come anywhere near paint and I'm going to murder you.
Yeah, you don't need to worry about COVID.
What are you talking about? Yeah, I'm going to kill you.
COVID's not going to get you. It's just
You're going to be praying for COVID when I'm done with you.
We'll fill balloons with gasoline. No, don't do that.
Dude, I freaking saw a video where they were doing that.
And okay.
Yep,
okay.
I'm telling they watch some crazy stuff, and it's out there in the open. They can go
and search the irony before all the COVID hit is that we literally had so much technology in the school. It became too much, one-to-one devices, so many software programs that our goal actually started to become, how can we do less technology in the school and more cooperative learning group work? Because we realized we had so much to offer them in school, and we knew they were going home and they were going to be on it for hours.
Sure.
And then COVID hit, and all of a sudden it was like, oh, never mind. We are all back to computers. Okay. Yay.
Remember that thing we just took away? Well, let's give it back to you.
Yeah, right.
Crazy stuff.
Yeah, I know it.
So I want to ask you about something, and I've been dying to ask you because it's something that I've had some personal experience with. Common Core.
Oh, yes.
So Common Core rolled out, gosh, what was it? Maybe 6 years ago? Does that sound right? I probably should have.
It may have been a little
during the show.
So we've got the whiteboards behind us. Are you ready for your lesson?
Yeah, it kind of started, with the whole No Child Left Behind. With Bush. And then, every year when we look at where America ranks in education.
Sure.
Yeah, we're never at the top.
Did you just drop beer, Darren?
No, that was the ice block.
Oh, thank God.
Oh, no, he was getting his sister one. So that was lovely. Thank you. Which one am I drinking?
Oh, that's On Target. It's a nice, refreshing.
Rangefinder, right?
It's like it'd be like a Bud Light, only it tastes good.
Okay.
Yeah,
right.
so
I can work with that.
Actually got good flavor.
But I figured that way you don't have to waste the whole thing if you just.
Oh, you got me a little taster glass. I like that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
He's trying to be nice, so you don't give us some really embarrassing stories about childhood.
Fun to do later on.
Thank you, Lion Creek.
She wants.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm getting a tattoo.
Yeah, from one of our past guests on the show.
Really?
Like
so is that a good thing or?
Yes. Corey's amazing.
Yes, you're endorsing him as it's a good thing.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Getting a tattoo.
I am. It says it's going to say F COVID.
I love it. Let's all go together. We'll do it as a beer and business family.
Yep. I know where I'm getting mine put on.
Yeah.
Oh, Mrs. Brown. What is she saying, Mommy? What does Mrs. Brown say? Microphone.
F stands for fun. Okay.
That's right. COVID is fun. Yes.
It's her maiden name. It's Flanagan.
Yes, that's right. Yes. So Common Core. What was the question?
So Common Core, I can't remember exactly when it rolled out. Maybe it was like 10 years ago. I don't know. I'm losing track of time. But, Common Core is rolled out, and in the beginning, it was very challenging. Yes. I still have a hard time helping my kids with math.
Yes. But
I think it has evolved a little bit. And you were telling me before the show some things that I wasn't even aware of. So if you could tell us a little bit about your initial experiences with Common Core, and then what's kind of happened since then.
Yeah. I think Common Core rolled out very well intended. They were realizing that kiddos going through American education were not rising to the top. And so I think the intention was good. Unfortunately, like a lot of things, that the people that were involved in creating it weren't like the nitty-gritty educators, working in the trenches. There were people that were...
should have been the people coming up.
I feel like we may have had some good input. right?
I think I need to walk away from this conversation.
You're going to plead the fifth?
Okay.
The reason his kids are homeschooled
I don't know
right now.
about the
Yes.
blow.
Common Core, yada, 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 homeschool. Is it?
That was about the truth, right?
No. It goes way beyond that.
Yeah.
No, I don't. Well, it goes back to the whole Department of Education thing. I mean, I believe, just my personal belief, I believe that the curriculum and the whole teaching aspect should be left to the teachers that went to school to learn how to teach. I don't think there should be some giant bureaucracy in Washington telling you what to teach our children. I think you...
Can I toast my partner here?
And I agree 110%. I'll take
even if he's a Bo Sox fan, you're still going to toast him.
Yeah, I will.
Absolutely.
It's okay.
You spent, I don't know, how many years going to college, learning how to...
Getting a master's degree as well.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Who do they think they are to tell you what the curriculum should be? You know your students better than they do, right?
I do. I would agree with you 100%.
Thank you. I got my point.
And while we're on that topic, just ironically, our ranking in the world started to drop in education after the formation of the Department of Education.
Isn't that weird?
But I digress. Those are just weird little factoids. Okay.
Not important, but they sound cool. They're really fun.
So anyways.
Trivia night. Very fun.
Let her get back to answering the question. So Common Core... You know, as you said, the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Sure.
No, that's not what she said. She said they had good intentions.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
She still needs to get funding for her school, okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Send all the money to Colorado. So anyways, good intentions, but
it's not, you cannot walk into a classroom and open up Common Core and teach it as it is designed. Because unfortunately, you have little people in front of you. And their sponge is only so big, they can only absorb so much. You have a variety of different ages and learning styles, and it doesn't make a lot of sense. So it's hard to buy into. Now, I am going to talk about Math Common Core for a moment, because there are parts of Math Common Core that make a lot of sense. Like growing up, when I was subtracting double digit,
you were not a good math student.
I sucked.
She really was not a good math student.
You know,
you and our brother, the two of you guys were just, when it came to math,
it was horrible.
Yeah.
Because here's how I taught: carry the one. Well, but doesn't the one mean 10? No, the one is just one. Carry the one. Like, I didn't know place value. I didn't know why I was doing a math problem. I didn't know what was behind it. Common Core is excellent in the way of kids knowing what the value of a number is. There's a digit, there's a number. So if they see 154, they know 4 ones, 5 tens, and 100. If they're multiplying 54 times 24, they know it's the 5 stands for a 50 and the 2 is a 20, and they can take those two and put them together. They can do expanded notation with numbers. They have to look at a number and know why they're adding. I saw the words in all. It means in all means all together. So that's why I took the 5 and the 4, I put them together. So me growing up, it was just regurgitation of facts. I didn't know why I was doing it. I didn't know what it meant. I didn't understand value of them. So in my mind, all I was doing was putting numbers on paper, and I couldn't explain it to you. If someone said, why did you multiply that? Because it had the multiplication symbol. So Common Core with math reasoning is huge for the kiddos. I have to teach my little ones at an early age, why did you add that? How did you know it was right? Well, the sum was bigger than the whatever it is. And that's a huge part of Common Core that they never had to do before. Now, the algorithms in Common Core are crazy AF. They don't make any sense. So they have a lot of different ways that they think we should teach our children. And us growing up, we look at it and we think, we could solve this problem in probably 10 seconds. And this particular formula is asking me to do it like in a minute. Like this is not practical. It doesn't make sense. But when kids are first starting off, they need to see why they're doing the things that they're doing. So I say when they're first learning, the whole idea behind Common Core and reasoning makes a heck of a lot of sense. But then you have to let that kid find the way it works for them, whatever algorithm works best, and then that's what they have to go, and then that's what they have to use.
So I want to share a personal experience with Common Core. This was back when it was really first being, kind of full-throated rolled out as like the standard everywhere.
Right.
And my oldest, he was in, it was either kindergarten or first grade. I'm thinking it was first grade. Mm-hmm. And they were starting math. And there was a question that he had missed.
Right.
And the question was, why is 9 more than 7?
Right.
So he had answered, well, if you add...
Because it is.
Right. So his answer... So first of all, she asked the question, like, why is 9 more than 7? And I'm sitting there going, I don't know.
Right.
Why?
It's
a bigger number. Like, I don't know. I don't know how to answer that. What? So he answered, because if you add 2 to 7, you get 9. So therefore, 9 is more.
Yes.
Well, he got it wrong. And I'm like, oh my God, that's pretty brilliant, because at this point, they weren't even adding yet. So I'm like, why did he get that wrong? She's like, the correct answer is when you're counting to 10, 9 comes after 7. And I'm like,
oh, no. What if you're counting backwards?
Adding. He understands addition, and he's failing math.
And he's doing math reasoning. That's the math reasoning we want to see. Not because it is. We want to see,
not idiot.
It's too
It is because it is. Math is black and white. Math is not gray. Math is black and white.
Unless you get
know
into
that
fuzzy
now,
math.
But when kids are first learning that.
No,
but this is the thing.
That's what she should have accepted. Any acceptable. That's where you take your teacher judgment and you throw away the manual and you say, yes, that's an excellent answer.
I was dying because they were teaching the class to count to 10.
Yeah.
But my son's already, and he's autism spectrum, so he's very technically minded.
Sure.
He's already doing addition and subtraction.
Right.
So he's light years ahead, but he was failing math.
Yes.
And I'm like, how the hell is this a thing? It was very frustrating.
Right.
So I'm giving you that example because I think one of the things that the education system, and I say this much broader than the educator, this is really more about the Department of Education.
Right.
I think that there was a terrible job done rolling this out to parents.
Yes.
Because even today, if my kids come home and they're asking me about history and that sort of thing, I can help them. Mm-hmm. They ask me about math and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? I don't, that's not right. Oh, I don't even
Some
understand.
of the stuff is, why are you even doing it? It's not what are you doing.
And it's getting more complicated every year because I learned it over here.
Yeah.
They're learning it in a completely different way. I don't know how to help them. And I'm a grown-ass man.
Guess what?
Yeah.
You better start brushing up.
Who can do math?
I can do really, really complicated shit in Excel, and I can't help my 6-year-old with fucking math.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like...
So now that we're talking about a confusing program that had good intentions, what is one of the best or better, we won't say best, better programs that you've seen come down the pipeline?
It's not a program. It's the example of that child saying, here's my rationale. Mm-hmm. Because nowadays, I will tell you, the pendulum is definitely swinging. Thank you.
Swinging. It is a pendulum.
And what we do now with our math programs... You should try
drinking this whole wrong.
Why do we need a rationale? Hold on. If you have a math problem in front of you, why do you need a rationale to solve it? It's a problem and you solve it.
They have to be able
black
to...
and white.
But they have to give reasoning for it.
No, you don't.
It's
a math problem.
Okay.
It's to get them to
2
think
+2
about
may
why they
equal
got
4,
to that
Mr.
point.
Winnie, but how does it make you feel?
Yeah.
You know what? I don't know how he feels because
so
he's wearing a mask.
Here's the
So I guess it's...
Bravo.
You can't see my
Well
lips
done.
moving.
We're done. Thank you. And we're over. Come back and talk.
I'll shut up
Let's
now.
do it.
Tip your waiter or waitress.
So here's the thing. You get up in the middle of the night and you all of a sudden find yourself in front of the toilet urinating. And I can hear ass chilling right now. You're going back to that. All of a sudden, you're like, well, why am I here? Well, you rationalize that you had bladder pressure and you woke up and walked to the bathroom and now you're going. There's the rationale. So when you're doing a math problem, it's like boom, 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 and you solved it. Tell me the rationale of how you got from that point.
I was given a problem and I solved it.
And you went from solution to answer.
Boom.
Boom. But tell me how you did it. Even if it's basic, like I added these 2 numbers and I did this. Or the one thing where a lot of kids falter when learning their core math skills is learning the basics of which comes first. Do you do multiplication first, division first, subtraction, or addition? Mm-hmm. And that isn't, they go off on all these other shitty things that they don't need to be learning. That's what they need to learn. That will actually help them get them through life longer. And if you can explain at least that and why you got there. So it's like, well, I saw this multiplication sign, so I know that I need to do this before I subtract these two numbers.
So, Carrie, let me help you with these two knuckleheads.
Right.
These guys are, I don't even know where the hell these guys are.
Is that the rationale?
I'm going to help you. No, it's not. Shut up. Here's the thing. I'm going to help you out, Carrie.
Yes.
We had to rationalize when we were all in school. They were word problems, which essentially is what you're getting at. You have to understand why you would apply the math.
Yes.
I get that.
Right.
I totally get that.
Yeah.
I think that it's the way that it's done today is very different than the way it was done with us.
Correct.
Very, very different.
Yes.
The biggest problem that we have as parents is nobody's explaining it to us.
Right.
I'm not getting a guide for parents how to help your sixth grader with math. When he comes home and he's like, Daddy, I don't understand this. I'm like,
neither do I.
Son, get in a boat with me because I don't either.
Right.
Like, that's weird stuff. That's a big missing piece of this. Still to this day.
It is a missing piece. I think that parents, we do supply, there is information we give to parents like parent letters and that kind of thing, but even the parent letters that are given by the same program are confusing.
And they justify more than instruct.
They do. And this is why if my kid or my student, whomever, is able to give me a reasonable answer, they will get credit for it.
That's good.
And I think nowadays we're trying to get kids to think differently. So if someone says 2 + 2 is 4, and I'll say, well, how did you figure that out, honey? It's like, well, I use my fingers. Great. Did someone figure it out a different way? Oh, yeah, I drew pictures. That's awesome. Did someone else figure it out a different way? So we're encouraging kids to think in lots of different ways, even if they have to justify an answer and they're reading something and they have to give an opinion. And so I think the idea is different now where it's not just one answer that doesn't make sense. If that kid can sit there and rationalize and give you an answer that makes sense, good for them. That's what we're trying to teach them to do.
And not everybody thinks the same way. That's what it is. So it's a great thing.
Yeah.
I can only hope that you are the norm and not the exception.
As a teacher.
My fear is that it's the other way around. Because my experience, my personal experience, and now mind you, my personal experience is not a scientific experiment.
Right.
But in my personal experience, it's been the other way. It has been teachers that approach it like you are really the exception right now and not the norm. So many look at it as this is the way and this is the way.
But do you is that
and
do you think that's
certainly
because
there's validity to that?
There is a lot.
Yeah.
But is it because of the pressure that you're getting from the higher ups and the administrations and stuff like that are saying, we don't really want you to form your opinion. We're giving you, as John said, this is the structure. This is what you're supposed to teach right now. Just do it and get them on to the next grade so they can succeed. And do you think a lot of teachers feel that pressure and don't have the confidence or, the wherewithal to stand by the judgments like you have? Like, these are my kids for a whole year. I've got to bond with them. And not only, yes, my responsibility is to teach them these things, these classes, but I'm also teaching them, as you said, about social emotion and other things like that and getting them on. And their form of thinking doesn't have to fit in the box.
But I think a bigger issue is a lot of teachers are feeling attacked. Sorry.
It's okay.
A lot of
in what way? What do you mean?
A lot of teachers are feeling attacked. They're feeling criticized. They're feeling
by whom?
By parents.
Sure, I can totally see that.
Yeah.
And we are getting more and more. When I first started teaching 27 years ago, it was so different. I was able actually to teach.
Oh, that is amazing.
So flow and plan and teach, and it was so great.
Yeah.
There are so many things that I have to do nowadays to keep data and justify my job and justify my teaching. So when parents are not for everything, but when parents come up and say, what about this question? This one is wrong. And all of a sudden the parents are like, oh my gosh, I'm having to justify, I'm feeling criticized again. And this is just another thing. I don't think teachers have skills in that area because they are feeling so much. Teaching these days is, we can get into how many teachers are leaving the profession. It's very unfortunate.
I totally see that. Because if you think about it, we're in a very weird time where the social media mob kind of dictates everything.
Yes.
So you've got the parents. Mm-hmm. You've got the county and the school system and the politics that come behind that. Mm-hmm. You've got your principal and their own thoughts and feelings about how things should be done.
Right.
All these strong forces. And meanwhile, everybody's worried about somebody being offended or something spinning out of control. Right. And then the internet mob piling on about, what happened in school today. It's got to be, I really sympathize for teachers today because I almost feel like it's a lose-lose proposition. Like, how the hell do you make people happy?
Yeah. Right. And it was better when they, had capital punishment, just
absolutely
whack them with a ruler.
I don't know. Perhaps.
Yeah, we had a sixth grade science teacher who was really good at that. And you never got beat by him. Well, you would if you acted up in his classroom. You might get an eraser mark on your back.
Oh, I used to get whipped in school, and I deserved every one of them.
Right, but and you know what your parents said? Good. Give them another one if they do. Nowadays, that's not what parents say.
No, it was before. It was like, if that little motherfucker does it again, whip them harder.
You do what you have to do. Right.
You got to have some parents that say that though. Every once in a while.
Yeah, but they can't touch a single one.
I do get some. I do get some that are very supportive of whatever we need to do.
Well, he used to also have you put your forehead against the chalkboard at the front of the classroom and hold your arms up.
Oh, yeah. I used to have to do that, too.
Wow. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. But and he was a great teacher. This guy was a gentle giant. He was a great teacher. Everybody loved him.
But working with parents is a whole social skill that teachers are not taught. And you have to know what to do. You have to know how to work with the parents and know where they're starting from and social where they're at. And when they sit down in front of you and these are their babies. And there's so much that you have to consider that a lot of these teachers that are young, and if they're not a parent yet, they're just trying to do the best they can. Right. They read a manual. They're trying to teach something. But that whole how to socially interact with all the other pieces of being a teacher, they can't do it.
We got snowflakes teaching snowflakes.
No, we don't.
Yeah. Welcome back, John.
And then, and this is why I don't want my kids going to college.
Well, here's the thing. Before we get there, I do have one other question for you on that point. So you have... crap.
Okay, you think about that because I want to make a comment on what you just said. Okay, I had a client not long ago, and I was helping her buy a house, and she was a teacher at a local school, and there was a day when I went and I showed her house, and she looked absolutely defeated, mortified. Like I'd never seen her like that. Her head's just hanging low, and I'm like, "What's going on?" And she's like, just a bad day. And I'm like, we're here. Tell me about it. What's going on?
Yeah.
And she was telling me about this parent. And this parent, I'll make a very long story short. This parent was verbally abusing her about her child, who was a monster. This child was a monster. Yeah. No discipline, awful behavior, not doing the things that she was supposed to do. Complete monster. And this woman, the teacher, she was doing everything she could. She was so patient. And here's this woman absolutely undressing her on the phone and in person and just badgering and abusing her. And guess what the school system did to support the teacher? Nothing.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing. And I'm like, and my whole thought when that was happening, because you just said something, I thought, where's the training? Where's the help when a teacher's dealing with somebody that's abusive or unruly about their child?
Right.
Yeah.
Where are the resources to help the teacher?
Yeah.
She was completely on her own.
Yes.
In fact, she was, trying not to get in trouble. Mm-hmm. So she was worried about because they had complained. And so she's being investigated from the school. So not only is she being abused by the parent, but the school's asking her all these tough questions about her conduct.
And
so
all of a sudden she's on the defense, like she's guilty here. And
all she's trying to do is help a child that is on the wrong road.
Yep. Right.
It's tragic. Like, how the hell did we get here?
Yeah, I know. That does. And that happens a lot. And it's unfortunate. We have more and more behavior problems in the school.
You guys need a Patrick Swayze from Roadhouse in there as your...
No, that's what the assistant principals were at my high school. They were like bouncers. As soon as something went wrong, I would get it. They would get out.
Mine was like
would tell me to get
mine
out
was
of the classroom.
A bald ex-football player.
Yeah.
And he had a paddle in his office.
I don't know where they find these guys, but they're huge.
I mean, dude, our assistant principal, he'd walk around and he'd, walk like this with his arms way out. Mm-hmm. And when he walked by, everybody was like, oh, shit.
Yeah, they were actually afraid, right?
Oh, my God. We feared this man. We thought he was going to kill us.
Yep. Yeah, right.
Well, nowadays, they don't care because they
can't. And guess what? We were on our best behavior when he walked by. I was like, that's weird. Yeah.
I know.
Well, the one thing I think that, as you said before, or alluded to it, was teachers just don't come in with they don't show up when the students show up. They don't leave when the students leave. Your day is not done.
No.
You still have, even though you have to prepare your lesson plans after that, whether you're doing it at school or doing it at home, you have to grade all their assignments. You've got to do the evaluations and everything else. And on top of that, now you have all this bureaucratic bullshit paperwork that you even have to do. So you don't have a regular 7:30 to 3:30 day and you're done and you get the summers off.
No, but after
you guys
this,
are working your ass off for how many hours?
I have schoolwork to do. After this, I have to read and submit something.
Today.
Oh, good. Let's get you wasted.
After this podcast.
I know. Wouldn't that be great? It's about a reading program. Could you imagine my thoughts on that?
You get an A.
You're not a typical...
How do you know how to read? I just do. Right? Isn't that the proper answer?
Oh,
yeah.
John's answer.
No, reading is not math.
So this is the difference between. So we have a Red Sox fan and a Yankees fan sitting next to each other.
It's all good.
And what did you say before we started the podcast?
My apologies. I'm sorry for you. I feel badly for you. My sympathies. I don't know. It was along that line.
It was pretty bad. I felt bad for you.
Yeah. Bambino.
Yes. It's Curse of the Bambino is long gone. It's long gone.
Bambino.
Bambino. Yes. Yes.
So one of the things we were talking about before the podcast that I'm really interested to get your thoughts on, and I know this is going to be a really big one for small business owners, is trades. And you talked a little bit about college, but I think we all have pretty passionate stances on this, because you and I both agree on something, and that is that I don't believe every kid should go to college.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, what a controversial point of view.
What?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So your thoughts as an educator, what do we do? If you were to wave a magic wand and, rethink the education system, how do we bring back, trying to help somebody determine where their future is? Is it going to college? Is it going to a trade school, apprenticeship, whatever?
Right.
What do we do?
Yeah. I do think from early on, the kiddos really have to know who they are as a learner, how they learn best. They have to start to, when you say to a kid, they don't know what they want to do. You know what? Kids do. Kids know what they like, what they get passionate about. They know what they like to learn or research about space, animals, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, we are so broad in America that it's almost like we have to dig deeper and not wider, is what they say. Mm-hmm. So, find topics and everything about them. What? What are you saying?
Darren said that's what his proctologist says.
Yeah.
You can ignore him just like you do in real life, and we can continue the podcast.
Okay, good. So,
it's not like he magically gets smarter on the podcast. It's the same.
It sounds good though. I sound smarter.
Well, that's because of the soundboard.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
It's that
NASA
board.
technology over there.
I love it.
Where were we?
So I think as kiddos go down the road, they need to be encouraged to learn about things. We need to give kids more credit.
Yeah.
For the things that they like to do. And we need to kind of give them resources and have them start to develop what their interests are. Mm-hmm. I think that this whole American dream of college, everyone needs to be a college graduate. No. I think maybe back in the day. But nowadays, the jobs that we have now, there's a lot of them that you don't have to have a college degree. You have to have the right kind of people skills and skill set and wherewithal and go for it. I mean, there's so many qualities you have to have. You don't have to have a piece of paper to say you're going to do something. And so I do believe that right now, when we look at trades, for example, like, master plumber, electrician, or that kind of thing, unfortunately, they all get a bad rap. And I do believe that all needs to be put in a much more positive light.
Yeah. Can I take that a step further?
Yeah.
I think, especially when it comes to, education and when we're talking about children when they're impressionable, I'd take it a step further and say that we look down on them. Mm-hmm. Like it's less than.
Yeah, until you actually...
I'd like to be an electrician. Oh.
Yeah.
Great job.
What the hell's wrong with that?
You ever seen a poor electrician?
Never.
No.
Never seen a poor electrician.
Or a poor plumber or anything like that.
No, and I think you're right. I think it's just that concept. And I think there's parents that do that and send that message. They don't even realize that they're doing that.
Right.
Especially the parents that grew up and worked their butts off and they didn't go to college. But you know what? Gosh darn it, my kids are going to go to college.
It's completely natural for a parent to want
it is.
My kids are going to go.
It absolutely is.
So far into debt, getting student loans, doing something because it's supposedly what they should do, and then they still come out afterwards and flounder until they actually buck up.
It's a huge mindset shift that has to happen.
I mean, you're preaching to the choir here because I never went to college.
I explains a lot.
Thank you.
Well, somebody saved a lot of money.
I did my
but look at where you are today. You're doing a hell of a job, and after Jake's coaching last year, you actually got a promotion.
Now it's Jake's accomplishment.
You went to Jake's college?
Well, he did help you.
No, little interview coaching.
If it wasn't for promoting growth, you wouldn't be where you are today.
No, hold on. But you are educated, just not through college.
Right.
John, you are actually...
He's an A&P mechanic. He works on airplanes.
I didn't get the liberal indoctrination.
He is wicked smart.
Okay. And what does college mean these days? I mean, not to get too heavy-handed, but if we were to have a...
It's just all money.
Yes.
Debt.
Nailed it.
I want my arts degree.
Nailed it. Yeah. Debt and moving back into your parents' basement.
Sure.
And debt.
You could have just been debt-free and just lived in your parents' basement until you got a decent job.
Yeah,
I want my kids to learn a valuable skill, and I want them to learn how to be thinkers in the world. I want them to take everything around them and make their own decisions.
Right.
So you don't want them to get a bachelor's degree in transgender anthropology?
No, I don't think
because they can get that for a cool $200,000
with a minor. With a minor in Common Core development.
Now, if they want to get their...
you know what? Mask developers are going to be huge down the road.
Yeah.
I can see the mask technology.
Yes, it's going to be
mechanical engineering
amazing.
degrees are going to be out the window really soon.
Even that is I mean, they don't have a hard skill. I see a lot of engineers where I work that they don't get paid much at all.
Right.
And they should. It used to be a big thing. That's what, I mean, when it was like...
But when the market is flooded, supply and demand,
So if I could, at where we stand today...
You can. Go ahead.
I know I can. So shut your face. So here's a problem. Today...
Thank you, Spunky Brewster.
Everybody that you talk to that has anything to do with trades will tell you there's a mass shortage. I can't find good electricians. I can't find plumbers. Welders. Oh my God. You want to talk about an industry that's dying. We need welders bad in this country.
Right.
This problem is only going to get worse because I think for two reasons. Number one, we still have this, collective mindset that it's lesser than, that you need to go to college.
Right.
Okay. That's a big issue. Yeah. And then the other, I think, even more sinister force that's going to come to play here is that the youth today are not interested.
No.
They're interested in technology and YouTube. Like, I try to get my kids interested, like, hey, we're going to go do an oil change on the mower. You want me to show you? Nah.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, when I was that age, if I'd have been like, hey, you want to see how to change the oil on the mower? Like, hell yeah, that's better than sitting here picking my nose.
In all fairness, changing the oil on your mower means they're just going to the fridge to get you another beer. They're not actually getting to they
can
twist the filter off.
He's got a point.
Do that.
He's got a point on that one.
The drain plugs.
So then what's the solution?
To let them actually do the work, and Jake gets them.
Thank you.
If that is the mindset of the youth, right? Yes. And you can't fight that. So how do you marry the two? What can you do?
Well, I think that this is a ground up problem. Mm-hmm. I don't think that there's a central force. I don't think that there's an organization.
Yeah.
Nothing broadly is going to fix this.
Right.
I think it takes all of us doing a couple of things. Number one, trying to limit technology the best that we can. And I've learned as a parent, because my kids are ages 11, 9, and 4. Mm-hmm. I can't keep them from technology. We actually bought a farm to try to keep the kids outside and all that stuff.
Right.
And it has really helped. They're outside way more than they were when we were living in suburbia, but I still cannot keep them away from the technology.
Right.
So I got to limit it to the best of my ability.
Right. Humans will always take the path of least resistance.
Yes, sure, but
if you can limit the sensationalization of what they're being exposed to through social media, you talk about like the gamer, the video gamer guy. Look at this guy; he's making $5 million a year because he started a Twitch channel.
He posts his video game
and
videos
on Twitch.
They see all that, but they don't realize that this is 1 in a billion chance.
Right.
Sure.
And
right.
So,
but those millions,
how
those millions
do you change
of kids
that around?
But here's the thing:
like,
I think,
you know what? This is a great. I mean,
let me go back to my answer, because you're getting us way off course. I think we do two things. You are, which you do a lot.
Harsh. He's harsh.
Yes.
Two things. I think number one, we have to try to limit the technology for youth. Whatever that means for you individually, we've got to try to do that. And
every
believe
family
me,
can play their part. It's going to look different everywhere.
I agree with you. Mm-hmm. And I will tell you that I'm not saying this from a perspective that I think it's easy. I think it's very, very difficult.
Right.
But do whatever you can. Number two, and I think more importantly, every single one of us needs to elevate the trades. Mm-hmm. You have to. They're so important, and nobody should look down on. Like, if your kid says, "I don't think I want to go to college. I think I want to be a plumber."
Right.
Foster that. What's wrong with it?
Nothing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I had it.
Right.
I've never heard that, but
I got news for you. They'll make a hell of a lot more money.
Yeah,
being a lot more.
Kind of an extreme.
They'll have a job. That's job security for life.
Sure.
Right there.
Sure. Entry level. You get a plumbing license. Entry level. Mm-hmm. You're making good money, better than somebody fresh out of college without the debt.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But then the sky's the limit. I want to tell you guys a quick story. When I used to get relocated a lot for AT&T. And one of the times we were getting moved, this guy shows up with the moving truck, and he had one of those really, really nice semis, big Allied semi, huge sleeper cab, really big trailer. And he, as he's working on getting us packed up and moved, he's a mover, truck driver. I don't know what to think about this guy. But come to find out, he told me that he owned his truck outright. $1 million. $1 million rig, owned it debt free.
Right.
Yeah.
And didn't go to college. And he told me, he's like, I'm not a smart guy. I just moving was all I could do, and it's just started moving, and that's my thing.
Right.
But he told me something so prolific, and I think I was like 30 at the time, and he said, I don't care what you do, if you just work harder than everybody else, you'll get rich. And I was like, damn, here's a guy that owns $1 million rig cash out the door, had no debt. He told me he owned his house, didn't have any debt at all. He's like,
that's a lot of miles.
Yeah.
That rig.
I know, but the dude, he was wealthy, independently wealthy. He had contracted, I was working at AT&T, so he had contracted with all these, relocation companies that were paying him like, $30,000 to $100,000 a job to move people around the country.
Yeah.
Making silly money.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm just a mover. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to do anything else. I started just moving furniture around and determined I need to get my CDL. And then once I did that, and he worked hard.
Yes. Yeah. So, all right. So there you go. Right there. Work hard. Hard work. Hard work.
Hard work.
When you have a choice between sitting on the couch watching YouTube or getting out and mowing the lawn, or I tell you what, being in the trades my whole life, I mean, I just got into it because I didn't have, I've always taken the path of least resistance, really. I mean, but I didn't have YouTube or electronics or anything going up. So I started working on, I just, disassembled every mechanical device that I came across,
Right.
But
why is Teddy Ruxpin in 5 pieces?
Yeah, no, but
trying to figure out how he works.
But when you,
but
when
did
you get
have
into
a role
it,
model? Like, did someone model that to you or teach you that, or it was just your curiosity?
Several of we had shop teachers.
Wait, what?
Yeah, in school, high school.
OC, shop teachers.
I know
that.
these mechanical things, giant printing presses in high school. I don't know if they I'm sure they just have laser printers now, but when I
yes, like
when I was growing up, we had a giant mechanical offset printing press, this huge thing, insanely complicated. But it was just like, oh my gosh, you have to just stare at it and figure it out. It was, but as far as the kids today, getting them to accept a trade, it's hard. I mean, because you actually endure physical pain.
That's a good way to put it.
No, really. I mean, busted knuckles,
I have to sweat.
bloody knuckles, dirt. It's hard. It's not fun.
Very hard.
It's good work.
Oh yeah.
But I think we need to elevate it, right? I think every single one of us has a responsibility to elevate that stuff.
Sure.
Because it's so critical. And I think we ask questions like, well, how do you think that was made?
Sure. I mean, because
China.
Me or the plumber,
because it was
the successful plumber, the successful electrician makes substantially more than the engineer who just got hired.
Sure.
With a 4 or 6 year degree.
In the next decade or so, you're going to find that, I mean, there's been talk that those trade skills, they are going to become the quote unquote, white collar workers of the business world these days. I mean, because the demand, they don't have enough positions to fill, and they don't have enough people to fill those positions. And the supply and demand, they're going to be able to charge premium dollars.
Right.
And they're going to walk in and be like, this is going to cost $600.
Well, just the fact that we have white collar, blue collar is something that doesn't need to be there.
I agree with that.
That's thrown out the window. Those terms are, I know, that's an old school term.
No, but it's still being utilized.
It is, absolutely.
Put into camps, for sure.
You're going to throw me under the bus any way you can today, aren't you?
I'm not.
If you make it easy.
It's true, though. No, I agree with you.
How do we get a YouTuber to romanticize being a plumber?
I got news for you. Where do you go when you want to fix anything?
I think that's an opportunity.
Days? You go to YouTube right away.
I'm saying. I'm trying to marry the two. I'm trying to think outside the box,
which they do.
Right?
And there's a lot of people out there who are great with their trade, and they are on YouTube. I mean, I was looking at something yesterday, and I'm like, how do I fix this? I go to YouTube, and I'm like, okay, fix the actuator on this washing machine. If it only, that's simple. I can do it.
There you go. But but like you said, role models. When I was growing up, I had several people. I mean, I can count them on one hand.
Sure.
But they were extremely influential. And you just watch these people who can do anything. They can build anything. They can fix anything. How do you get this massive object from here to here? And it's as a child,
it's like that shredder chopper thing that you guys are showing me in the woods. Who designed that thing that just mows down trees?
The forestry mulcher.
Yeah, mulcher. Yeah.
Oh, baby. I got to get one of those.
Who built that?
Right.
That's a smart
the Chinese.
person. Yeah. But even, I will say, even Carrie, you did that the other day when you saw the house that I had worked on, and you're like, oh, you got to come out here. And work on my house now.
Yeah, I know.
I need someone to knock down walls and put in the support beams, and let's figure this out and redo it. So,
well,
I got skills.
Wow. Anyway, you have to prove that to us. But I think going back, so I'll give you an example. Okay. When I was in high school, I used to have a friend, and I'm not going to name names, but I had a friend, he was a pothead. Massive pothead, no motivation, just always high and one of those hey man, just completely out of it, and was going absolutely nowhere. Back then we didn't have Common Core, so teachers were really trying to connect with students at the level that they were at. We had shop, so we had a shop teacher, Mr. Smith, great guy, and he knew that my friend was a total pothead.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what he did to get him interested in something? He helped him design dugouts for his little pot smoking habit.
No kidding.
Swear to God.
You know, people Googling that phrase right now.
I know.
Wow.
What you're talking about.
Yeah, because I was thinking baseball. So
Nope.
that's
It's
apparently not what it is.
You don't have to
It's a little
explain what it
device
is.
that you put this little pipe thing in. I didn't even know it existed
You
until
put your weed in there.
Yeah, you put your weed in your little
Gosh,
pipe
and
in
I'm
there.
from Colorado. I'm so sorry to my
So I
peeps
think
out
it's
there.
Little one hitter. That's what it was.
That's exactly what they called it, a one-hitter.
Okay.
And, you know, he actually got him engaged in it, and he started getting really interested in carving and woodwork. And the guy ended up a carpenter.
Right.
A very, very skilled carpenter.
A very high carpenter.
He was going nowhere.
Right. Probably was excellent.
He eventually grew out of his terrible habit because all he did back then was smoke pot. But this teacher connected with him. It's like, well, he knew he's got no future.
Yep.
He's going nowhere.
Yep.
All he's interested in is pot. So maybe if I help him understand how cool woodworking is by helping him design some little pot devices, maybe I'll connect with him. And he did.
Good
and he
him.
actually looked forward to going to shop, and he'd show us. He'd like, dude, look at this one that I made. And we're like, and I was like, oh, that's fucking cool, man.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
there's a
smoke
lot more
pot, but
to
I can
it.
appreciate the work that went into it. It looks nice.
Very
because
smart
of the,
teacher.
the craftsmanship
Yeah.
that goes into that,
Yeah.
and where you have to drill the hole for the pipe and then bore it out on the other side and smooth it, sand it, and put the little slide piece on top. And
So he knows exactly what a dugout is.
No, because that's
shocking.
what it is. That's an intricate dovetail that you have to do to slide the piece across the top.
See,
that closes
I never got
everything.
any of those skills. Anything. Where did you get all that? I get cooking.
It's coming soon. You live in Colorado. You're gonna have. It's gonna be required.
it
Required
coming?
course.
It's going to be state law soon.
Yeah.
You're right. How many
Right.
skills did I get? What I got? Cooking,
Several.
Okay, kids. Today
Yeah.
we're gonna make a dugout.
They can
Today
teach them
we're
how to do some Pyrex molding and stuff.
in the Common Core way.
Yeah.
So you have to explain to us how it makes you feel after you're done with it.
Right. Right. Of course. Yes.
So
But I share that. Well, I share that example because I think it's really important that we understand that, first of all, we've got to elevate trades. Everybody needs to elevate trades.
Yes.
And we need to meet kids where they're at, whatever they're interested in.
Exactly.
Right?
That's exactly it. Yeah.
Because I think that what's happened culturally, and I don't know where this all started, but I think everybody would kind of agree with this. If your kid came to you and said, hey, this is what I'm interested in doing, and you're like, oh God, that job only pays like $50,000, $60,000 a year. No, you don't want to do that.
Oh, yeah, you do.
Well, why not?
What's wrong with it? Are you going to?
I mean, why not? Seriously, why?
Wait, what pays 50 or 60,000?
I don't know.
Whatever.
Like, I'm just
Doesn't
making
matter.
an example. Like,
Yeah,
because
like the
you're thinking
first-
like, no, my kid needs to be wealthy. Well, my kid needs to do much better than
How
that.
much more?
No, no. If you're a diesel mechanic, you might start out at 40, 50, 60, but after a couple years, you're six.
Well, that's a great example.
you're
Okay,
six figures.
great example.
That is
Figures.
the perfect example.
That's you're right. There's a perfect example. So if somebody said, you know what, I want to be a diesel mechanic because I like when we work on stuff in the garage together.
Right.
Well, I
Right.
think most parents' reaction to that is,
Oh my gosh.
no, you need to do much better than that.
Right.
Heck,
Why?
Right.
Yeah.
Why?
I know.
I mean, that's my
But
question.
do you
Why?
not think there's something to be said for parents that also are path of least resistance? Too busy, too overworked, and they're like, I just don't, that's great, you want to do that. I don't have the time. Here's your iPad. I mean, you do have a whole new
I
generation
totally
of
agree with you,
parents
yeah.
that are not going to pursue that passion with their kiddos.
I completely agree. And that's
unfortunate too.
That's another
Yeah.
podcast. Honestly, that's a whole nother
is,
episode.
I know.
Totally agree with you.
Yeah.
So, but I
Yeah.
think at the very least, I think culturally we need to shift our mindset where
Yes,
when that
we
happens,
do.
our initial reaction isn't to bristle and say, "But you could be the president." Well,
Why?
Right.
or whatever your thought is, like, "Oh,
Right.
but you could be a lawyer." Well,
Oof.
but what's wrong with being a diesel mechanic if that's what you're passionate about?
Right.
And that's where your
Right.
skills are.
Right.
Right. If you're interested and you're showing skill at an early age, why not foster that? Because
Yeah.
as Mr. Winnie said, I know some mechanics that make damn good money or open their own garage because they're very
Banking
skilled.
it.
What's wrong with that?
Right.
And they have that self-satisfaction at the end of the day that they did something, as opposed to going in, punching the clock, and
And they don't
gotta
have
do
200
this and
grand in
listen to this
student debt.
person.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So Are there VOTEC schools still? I mean,
sure.
Like,
of course.
I know in high school, there were kids who would get on the bus each day and they went off to VOTEC school.
A different building, yeah.
Sure. Right.
Is that still out there?
I mean, my kids were picking, my own children were picking electives for 7th grade.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, there was, because, STEM is STEM and STEAM.
Right.
That's a big deal.
Wait a minute, STEAM?
STEAM.
STEAM is where the arts.
Arts.
Snowflakes.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Are you fucking kidding me?
STEAM.
No, it's actually
STEM is all about engineering, math,
science, technology, engineering.
Yeah, there's arts
for
now.
arts.
So it's like
we don't have enough arts degrees out there.
all I can see is like Heinz gets velvet over in the corner. Excuse me? Nobody talk about the arts?
Okay, now we know how you feel.
My name is Dieter, and welcome to Sprockets.
Nobody's going to get that.
STEAM? Seriously, this is a thing? So
this is a thing now.
Arts felt left out.
It did.
They had nowhere else to go. They were put in the corner.
Its feelings were hurt.
Oh my gosh, they need to get a participation medal.
And don't get me started on that one.
Oh, fuck. I'm sorry.
All the ribbons and medals that you have to give.
STEM and STEAM.
But right. So
I can't even say it without saying.
Which is that's a huge thing, and it's good because kids get things and they have to create.
Right.
But it is very one-sided because it's almost like that I'm going to become an engineer, a mechanical engineer, I'm going to develop things, or it's almost that white-collar pathway that goes this way. It doesn't allow the kids to do more of that. Take this apart or put that together or go, clean it over there and find the best way or that kind of thing. And so even the kids thinking about things as parents, we almost feed them too much because we don't make it too hard for them. We don't have to work too hard or have to discover too much or whatever. It's like we just spoon feed them all of this stuff and we give it to them and then we see what they do. I mean, even those kits that kids get in the mail, the Kiwi kits or the whatever, the intent is good behind that.
Yeah.
But there's so much set up already for kids. And it's like, this is not hard for kids
what you do
as far as their
with those
thinking.
Kiwi kits is you actually open the box first and throw the instructions away and then let them build it.
Right.
Now let's go to town.
Yeah.
Whatever
and
you make is going to be amazing.
Yeah, I know.
Well,
yeah.
Okay, so I'm really trying not to lose my shit over this, okay? But the STEM and STEAM thing.
The STEAM really upset you.
Oh, God damn it. It's so stupid. If anything, it shouldn't be arts that's applied to that. It should be vocation. Mm-hmm. Because all of those things, science, technology, engineering, and math, they all apply to the vocations to,
That's very true.
I mean, can you imagine doing,
Yeah, no. Graphic arts was a elective in my high school.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Do they still have graphic arts? I don't know.
Yeah. No, they do. They do.
Okay, so nowadays, I'm sure you're just designing things on computers and stuff, but
you just think about it in the program.
Yeah, but when I was going through it, like I said, it was all the mechanical processes of how you we'd
CAD and
we'd make T-shirts or printing presses and all these
start to finish.
Yeah,
full life cycle.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, take the pictures. And we'd print yearbooks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that's still out there.
Yeah, but there's a lot of mechanical
doses.
Right. I can tell you though, there's so much liability, and people get worried about the kids. They get worried to give them too many things to do or something that could be too dangerous. I mean, there is that whole concept too. I used to have.
Oh my gosh! Wait till I get a job.
Can I?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Don't.
I get it. You
don't give them too much at once. It might tell them what the real world is like.
They're fragile.
Well, we might not want to give them an arc welder in
flowers.
3rd grade, but when they get to 4th, they can graduate. Start them out with a butane torch in 3rd grade, move them to arc welding in 4th.
Torch in 6th grade.
I just need to center myself.
You need a moment. It's good.
So
it's okay.
I have a question though. Is when you're sitting down with parents and they're like, well, my kid's not focusing on the subjects that this is happening, and you're like, well, you know what, your child really enjoys blah blah blah, and you're kind of probably gently telling these parents on how the things you're seeing in the classroom with them, like John over here, Mr. Winnie over here in class, he wants to go in the back and he's taking apart this stuff and wants to put it back together, and he's not really focusing on history right now. He'd rather do this. And so
schools are not designed to support that.
You can't even help give them guidance and
I'm not
to
saying
open their eyes.
As a first grade teacher, I had a whole corner in my classroom that was called Makerspace. Ooh. And I asked parents to bring me their trash. They're like egg cartons, foils, whatever it was. And kids would go back there and they had to make something. The only rule was it had to do something or have a function or problem solving or something. Yeah.
Just couldn't build a
one kid made a beautiful gun out of kitty duct tape. It was gorgeous. I had to frown upon what he made, but I was impressed with how he made it. I'm not going to lie. But when you have things like that, I can offer that to my kids. But I have kids that would want to be back there all day long.
Why not? But that's the thing.
Because I have 25 other kids in my classroom.
Yeah, but
what am I supposed to do?
So what if one goes back there? What if a Mr. Winnie goes back there and he's building these amazing things
if it's him, I would let him go back because I don't want to deal with him.
But if I could,
in
in Carrie's defense, I think the biggest issue today is that if you went to a parent and said, "Hey, Mr. Winnie seems to be really interested in mechanical things, and maybe a mechanical future is good for him."
Right.
Well, then today's parents, how dare you? He's going to be a lawyer.
And today's parents aren't going to take that and foster that at home.
Right.
I can't foster that in a classroom but I can certainly give the feedback and say, I'm observing your kiddo and I'm seeing how they are in the classroom, and then giving it back to the parents for their personal responsibility to take care of their kid and foster that. They're not going to do that.
Yeah.
It'll come as criticized for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I really think that this comes back to we really need to elevate trades, and I think we need to take every opportunity to do that, not only with our kids, but with each other and within our communities. I mean, if you've ever seen somebody that's like good at tile.
Oh.
I mean, it's like a fucking art form.
It is, yeah.
I mean, I can lay tile.
But it's dirty, nasty work.
Well, it's dirty, nasty work.
You could tell the difference between the amateur and a pro, though, when you see tile work.
Well, plus Mr. Winnie and I do it drunk, so that's bad.
What don't you do drunk?
What to get back to you on that one?
Yeah.
But no, seriously, like if you're talking about tiling a bathroom, like do I know how to go in and lay tile? Yeah, but if you watch a real craftsman lay tile,
right?
They are so skilled, so fast, so elegant, and then there's no seam between the tile. Not like when you lay it and there's big gaps between one and the other. You're like, oh shit, I missed that.
It's like doing crown molding.
Yeah, I mean they're just so good, and you look at that and you're like, oh, that's why I paid to have this done.
Yes,
that's
the
pretty
difference.
damn good.
Right. Right.
Why are we not elevating that as something to aspire to?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Because I think the way that we think about careers like that, like if somebody's laying tile, I think that if you're honest with yourself, and I'm talking to you, the subscriber now, if you're honest with yourself and you look at somebody like, oh, they're laying tile for a living, well, nothing else worked out.
No.
Right? No, I mean, seriously, be honest with yourself. You're probably like, you know what? That's just probably the only thing you just kind of fell into it. And like, why can that not be something that somebody that's young says, that looks really cool. I'd like to do that for a living and become a master at it and make six figures doing it.
And
why? Why is that not something that we
and
culturally support?
One of the things about that too, if somebody would recognize it, is that person who's doing that job, for them to feel like they've accomplished something, instead of just going in and doing paperwork and pushing this or doing whatever, one of the things in their brain is they want to see a finished product. And now they know they've accomplished something. It's like, I know I've done this. It's done. I can see what I did and I can appreciate it.
That's a really good point.
And
it's the first good point he's made all day.
I'm trying.
Well done, Darren.
Right. But if I could...
It's like, what the fuck?
Thank you.
If I could point out that these would-be electricians, plumbers, tilers, when they are in elementary school, they have to learn to be a student. They have to learn to respect authority. They have to learn to follow directions. They have to learn to power through something. So sorry.
You're good.
So if there's a math problem and they don't get it, they don't get to sit in the corner and say, I just don't know how to do it. Right? This is too hard. They have to have the skill to sit through and work it out themselves and try to figure out. They have to, those are the kind of things they need to have to go on later in life. So when the tiling is hard at first, they have the wherewithal to like get through it and problem solve. And those are the solid things in school that we make too easy for kids. Well, honey, it's okay. You don't have to do problem 4, or I'll help you with that. And you just skip that one and you do this one.
Well, I want to go back to Darren's point because it's actually a really good one. Because we've been sitting here talking about trades, like, it's a great opportunity to make a living, make money. But I'll give you an example. We're just talking about tile. We had tile laid at our house a couple of years ago, and the guy that came out, he was very, very skilled, owned his own business. I know he's making 6 figures at least, in his business, doing very, very good, very good. But here's the interesting thing. So when we initially talked to him about doing the tile work, he had his phone. He was like, oh, well, let me show you this job. Let me show you what I did here. Well, look at this. And everything that he was showing us that he had done, he was beaming with pride, man. He was like, look at this one. And we're like, damn, that looks good. He's like, Yeah. And so every day, this guy is feeling a level of accomplishment. Like, I did that. And here's a guy, he didn't pay $1 jillion to go to college.
Right.
But he worked his way into being very good at his trade, started a business, and now makes great money. Do you know many people? What?
He might be making great money.
No, he was. No, trust me. I saw his truck.
No, because it doesn't matter. Go ahead.
His truck was
finish what you're saying.
But I'll finish my point, okay? I know the guy was making a great living, okay? But the point is, I also know people that went to school, got a degree, 4-year degree, post-grad, whatever, master's degree, even PhDs that have great jobs that probably make similar money to this guy and are fucking miserable.
Grind.
Miserable.
Yeah. To your point, Darren,
yes.
I know where you're...
the job satisfaction when that comes with working with your hands. I've gone through an evolution through my career. Now I'm behind a desk, and I remember back when I was working. I'd work midnight shift, and an airplane would come in broken, and I'd work all night and fix the airplane, and then I'd see it take off in the morning with a couple hundred people on it, knowing that they're going to get there safely. So that was a huge sense of
it's all you.
Pride.
Yeah, but you don't go and. You can't go around and brag to anybody about it, because it's just a daily thing,
Hey, I made sure those people didn't die in a fireball today.
Yeah.
It's a big deal. But now, it's a big deal. You can brag about it.
Right. No, but now I'm behind a desk now, and it's not the same.
You miss it sometimes.
Sure, of course. And the greatest, my best days are when I can talk with somebody on the phone. I have to help somebody, a mechanic out there, and I have to walk him through a certain procedure or something, and that gives me job satisfaction.
Right.
Which is huge.
I just don't have the bloody knuckles that I used to.
Right. But
and you're in air conditioning.
There's a big
nice.
thing there. But
heat.
Back to what Jake said, he knew this guy was making money. Did he really? And he's on the job, and all of these trade skills, to Carrie's point, is they still have to know how to do math. Okay, you want to go out. You want to go out and you want to quote a job. How do you know what your material costs are? Can you calculate that?
Sure.
And are you actually going to have an income after you do the job? And that comes from your critical thinking and learning way back when, as you said, instead of saying, I give up, I don't know how to do this. No, you need to know how to do the math. And when you go into a trade, yes, you might not be running your own company, but you still need to figure out the skills and how to think about and where that's going to be applied in the future and dealing with people regardless, the social emotional skills. You can't shut down from that. Even when he's in your house, and it might not be the guy who owns the company, but even his skilled workers that are working for him, if Mrs. Smith comes up and she's an irate person right now, or she's asking questions, well, you still need to know how to kind of deal with her on a social level because she's frustrated. And how do you answer that while you're still doing your job? So I know there's a lot of things coming in together right now. They're all converging in our conversation.
Give any kid a Lego set. See how they handle it. How do they get through? Do they read the book? Do they put it together themselves? Do they melt down? Do they throw their Legos? Do they power through? Like, what is it? Those are the skills. Kids do not have those skills anymore.
Do they match up all the reds and the greens and the blues?
Then that's a whole other thing, right?
Sure.
But I mean, they used to have like Google or Apple. They would sit applicants down in a room and watch them solve a problem or play a game. And they would see who would rise to the top, who would make new rules, who would be the leaders, who would sit back and watch, who would be the outside observers. And there's all those people skills too that are just as important. And again, you don't learn those in college. Those are things you learn growing up.
It's interesting you say that because so I used to work, when I was traveling the world, I worked for a company called Teleperformance, and we were very, very global. We had employees in 180 countries. I mean, it's huge company. And we had one of the teams in Mexico came up with this really cutting edge interview process. And it ended up being something that was adopted around the globe and was really, really beneficial.
Yeah.
And what they did was they grouped people up in teams of 3 and they blindfolded one person.
Wow.
And they gave them a Lego set and they told them to build a skyrise. So they had the one person with the blindfold on, and they're like, the other 2 are helping them like build something.
Yeah.
And then the other person, one of the people in the group had to sell it when it was done.
Wow.
And, the other person had to answer questions from the audience that was somewhat cynical on what they had built.
Sure. Yeah.
And I mean, they put them through this whole thing, and the amount of information you got about everybody's ability to critically think, work together, socialize, problem solve. I mean, the hiring metrics were like exponentially better.
Sure.
Their turnover rates were lower. Their performance was better. Everything was just off the charts. And, the first time I saw it, I'm like, oh my God, this is brilliant, because immediately all the bullshit that comes up in an interview, it's gone, and you see people for who they are. And I'm like, that's good.
Uh-huh.
They brought that to my company, not as an interview, but just a team building exercise.
Really?
Yeah,
that'd be fun.
They split us up into teams and we had to build a Lego tractor.
I should do the guacamole team building.
We didn't have to sell it at the end. We just had to make it look like when you're blindfolded trying to build it and you're listening to other people say, no, move it over right there.
Yeah, and they put us through it too. So they're like, you got to do it. So I got blindfolded, and it's like, you're thinking like, oh, no problem.
Right.
Then they put the blindfold on you and you're like, oh shit, I really have no idea what the hell I'm doing.
Right.
Like, I'm just building a tower. And you're like, it was.
You should try that in the classroom next year.
Yeah,
okay, everybody take their masks and put it up over their eyes now, and let's all build.
No, I love working together in cooperative group learning, but we can't do that when we're shouting from. I do it all the time.
Do you?
All the time. But when you're
Cooperative
6
group
feet
learning.
away, it's a little tricky. How's that going to work?
How do you do that with third graders?
I do it with first graders.
Or first graders. What's your example?
I do it with
If they get it wrong, you tase them. No? That doesn't work?
I don't have a taser. Exactly.
Do you want a student teacher in your classroom to help you this year?
Yes, I would love it.
Imagine John in the corner, you can hear that.
Be very entertaining. Very entertaining. Yeah. No, we start from the ground up, like, look at your speaker and listening ears. We spend a lot of time on how to speak to one another. Because that skill, they don't come in with that skill.
Right. Yeah.
We
Now
start
that they have a
right
mask that's going to cover their face so you can't even see the mouth moving.
Mm-hmm.
Holy crap.
Yeah, I know. I know.
You got big challenges.
Yeah.
We should have a mask episode.
What do you see?
Good. See if we sound any differently, right?
In the next decade. What do you see in the next 10 years for education, like on your level? What elementary education, like what's out there on the horizon that we as parents need to be aware of?
For parents?
Like what's bubbling that's like, oh, this might be a good
parents
thing.
Parents need to be a lot more accountable, and they need to do a lot more at home with their kids before they even get started in school.
Okay. Before they start in school.
Just
such as
just being a good kid, being a good listener, knowing how to follow directions, knowing how to do things more than just like one-step direction, two-step directions, knowing how to go through with a task, doing chores. I mean, these even sound silly to me, like saying it, but it's basic stuff.
No, really. I mean,
and kids,
this could help out a lot
their
of people
attention span, the reason we have so many kids that are like ADHD, because they are, I mean, you know how our world is. It's instantaneous. Everything is technology. And they are used, I mean, there's been studies done. We have kids who can't even come in and hold a pencil properly and print because they're so used to swiping and clicking.
Oh, right.
They don't have the fine motor skill. It's really sad when you think about it. They don't have the fine motor skills anymore. It's almost like we have to start going backwards a little bit, like back to the basics.
Can they actually tie their shoes?
No.
So let me ask you a question.
No,
slip-ons.
Not really.
Yeah.
No.
Let me ask you a follow-up question to Darren's, because as I think into the future, you know, what concerns me is more technology, more things that are kind of, in my opinion, taking us backwards.
Yes.
In terms of education.
Right.
When you talk to your fellow educators, how many do you think feel like you do that we need to get more back to the basics, that we need to use common sense?
I don't want to generalize, but I would say I'm 50. I would say that teachers that are in my same age bracket feel similar. Mm-hmm. There are teachers that are younger.
Millennials?
Yep. And
Snowflakes.
Snowflakes.
I feel like there should
Again,
be
it's
like
John at beer.business.
Every time John says snowflake on this episode, just drink.
It's a drinking game, right? Yeah.
It's an email flame game is what it is.
Oh.
Email. Yes,
You
I'm going
did
to get
say
in
you're
trouble
50, but you know, for 50, even though you're my sister, you look pretty good.
Well, thank you.
Way better than
that.
Darren.
We got good genes.
Way better.
Yeah,
we got
you've
good
aged.
genes.
Darren has aged really bad.
Yeah.
Only since I started doing the podcast.
Sure, your hair has gotten a lot whiter. I'm just saying. Younger teachers that come in, they have a little bit different mindset of work ethic.
They want to swipe.
I'm just going to put it that way. So we come in right with the kids. We leave right with the kids. We don't like to do a lot of extra work. When we have like a big project, like, hey, let's do this. And that seems like a lot to do. So that has been challenging for me when I work with younger teachers.
You know what gives me...
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. You know what gives me hope? Because I talk to a lot of people, especially in our business. You know, we deal with people from varying ages, but it seems like those people that are like 30-ish, right? That are younger. So if you can compare them to our generation or younger, they grew up with technology and that sort of stuff.
Right.
I feel like when life starts to become real for them, you know, home ownership, kids, they start to rethink this stuff.
Yes.
Which is probably the only thing that gives me hope, because I think a lot of times, you know, to your point, the younger teachers, that, you know, 25-year-old that's a millennial and kind of grew up with technology a little bit more than we did.
Right. Yeah.
They may think about things completely differently until it's their kid.
Right.
And then it's like, wait a minute. It becomes real. And that's the only thing that gives me hope, because I really do feel like you're right. There are people that are in our generation. I think it's probably a ridiculously high percentage that feel the same way you do.
Yeah. I agree. Sure. When you become a parent as a teacher, a mom or a dad, it's a whole different ballgame. Your perspective about your students in the classroom, because you see every one of them as, that could be my kid. Yeah. It just changes, you know, it's dramatically changes things.
I hope that's not my kid.
Yeah, that better not be my kid. That's right.
So when they bring these younger teachers and these millennials, do they try to disperse them, not just by the grade level, but with some of the older teachers to say,
they do.
You know what, and that way maybe they'll wake up, buttercup, and understand this is the way it really should be, instead of whatever your ideals are. You've got great expectations, but
you're dumb.
Thank you.
Well,
no, I mean,
but they do have great ideas. I love learning from some of the younger teachers.
In every other industry, in every trade, there are apprenticeships.
Yes,
when you're the new guy, you graduated your electrician school or your plumbing school, but no, you're going to work with a guy for about 5 years. right beside them, and then you get your master plumber's license or your journeyman's license or something.
Yes, like that. And that is a great point because they go in as student teachers, but they're in there for like 3 months, not even. They really don't get the experience of being in an actual classroom, having to get down to nitty gritty.
Sure,
it should be longer.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing too is, I think it's a really good point. I think in any industry, you get the new people come in, they're educated on whatever their training is, whether it's college or vocational school, whatever.
Right.
And they come in full of piss and vinegar and they're like, I can do it better. But then they realize that they only know what they know.
Yes.
And that the actual working world is very different than what they were taught.
Sitting in the classroom
Yeah. When I got my license, my airframe and power plant license from the FAA, my examiner signed the piece of paper. He hands me the piece of paper. He said, "This is a license to learn," and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's brilliant.
You're not going to go out there and fix everything. You don't know everything. So
but will you put in that position the next day then to almost work independently on your own?
Never, no.
And that's the problem with teachers is because they are. And the teachers that are the least experienced,
sure.
You know where they place those teachers? Impoverished schools where they have a hard time finding teachers. So now you've got those teachers that are fresh out and
don't have the wisdom.
They do not have the wisdom. They don't have the street sense or anything to be working in those kind of environments.
And you don't see the results from those teachers until years down the road. Like if they put a brand new mechanic on and they fixed him, let him go by himself, there's going to be a bunch of lawn darts going, so there's an immediate impact.
Sure.
But the impact from teachers is just as important, but you just don't see it immediately.
Right. Yeah. Not as immediate. True.
Right.
But that's where you do get a lot of teacher burnout. Where in fact, the opposite should be true. They should take the ones that are most experienced and put them in those kinds of schools. And now we've got progress. We've got real progress.
I could not agree more. And this is something that so many people miss. Knowledge is something that you learned. Mm-hmm. Wisdom is something you experienced.
Yes.
It's totally different.
Yep. Absolutely.
And I could not agree more. And I think that it's something that as a country, as a nation, we really should be demanding more of the areas that need it the most.
Yes.
Because I don't necessarily think that we have a funding issue.
Mm-hmm. No, we do not. We have an allocation issue. We do not have a funding issue.
So explain what you mean by allocation.
Well, I'm just saying it's just in where we're putting our dollars.
Yes.
Every admin department in any school district is very top heavy, and that definitely can be cut. There's a lot of positions up there that don't necessarily need to be up there.
Mm-hmm. It's these administrators making $400K a year,
making quite a bit.
Yeah.
Not to say that they're not valuable, but the positions that they're in. The teachers ourselves, we don't put a lot of credence into them because they're making all these decisions without us. Right. So maybe if they included us more, then their input might be more valuable.
So I'm not going to name the area because I won't get in trouble. Mm-hmm. But I was driving through an area of the Atlanta Metro, MSA,
right,
where they had built a high school. And this high school, I kid you not, looked nicer than most college campuses.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was driving past and I'm like, what in the I could not believe this was a high school. And I think it opens next year, this coming school year.
Yeah.
Unfreaking believable. God knows how many tens of millions of dollars were spent.
Yeah.
Maybe 100 plus.
Right.
On this damn school. Right. And we talk about the fact that we don't pay our teachers enough.
Yeah.
Are you freaking kidding me?
I know.
Who is the school for? Who is it for? It's not a charter school.
No, it was a public school. Public high school.
Don't go there.
Okay. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
It was, and it's not, and it was, and I'm not saying the size of it because I understand you have to have the space to house the students. It was the way it was constructed.
Sure.
It was the, AstroTurf football field with the fucking stadium. Everything about it was like, oh my God, it was insanity.
Yeah.
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 The schools they're building in my hometown now have air conditioning.
What?
Yeah. No, we're talking about teaching kids to deal with adversity.
Right.
When you're doing your final exams and it's getting to be summertime and it's 80
your
degrees
sweat
in a
is
classroom.
dripping off your brow.
Right.
And,
that's...
Right?
And you're breathing in
That's
asbestos and everything else. What's
That's
wrong
a life
with that?
skill.
And we're worried about the corona. Come on. Kids can handle that. They're fine. Yeah, they're fine.
Yeah. We were talking about that, though. We were talking about Florida, and Florida finally came up. They just passed a bill.
Kudos to Florida.
Bumped them up. They actually went from 47th. Is that what you looked up the other day? For teachers' starting salary, they increased it by $10,000. So they went from $37,000 to $47,000. They were 47th in the country for starting teacher salaries, and now they're where? Somewhere up there.
Well, so and now, because I can tell you, like when we would get students from Florida, they could be a year behind. I mean, it's just typical
the salaries
education.
Increase, but the education level needs to come up.
But they will attract and retain better teachers now.
They will.
Yes.
They will.
So that will help.
It's like in New York where we
New
grew
York
up.
Is great.
To teach at an elementary school level, you have to have a master's degree.
Well, if I
get one, right? Isn't that it?
Well, I don't think you have to have one, but you should be.
You need to acquire one to teach.
Yeah.
If I could, I know so many people. You'll see a tax proposal, whether it's a sales tax or millage increase on your property taxes,
right.
And the county says, hey, we're investing in the school system, and we're spending money on this, and this, and so many times those things come out, and they're an uphill battle. Oh, we're putting in this, we're doing that, and people are like, and those can be very contentious. They're usually a very close vote. If anybody, any county out there, you come out and say, hey, we're proposing a millage increase or a sales tax increase, and 100% of it is going to teacher salaries.
Yes.
You're looking at a 90+% pass.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Everybody's going to be behind that.
Yep.
Everybody.
But they never do it, though.
No, because they're spending money on stupid shit.
Yeah.
Well, that's the other part with we were very fortunate.
Air conditioning.
Air conditioning. I'll tell you what, we were
Soft
fortunate
kids.
growing up.
Snowflakes.
They need to be sweating it out.
When it came to all the extracurricular programs to make a well-rounded student, so the ones who you needed other things to do, the money was there for it. If you wanted to be in band, chorus, orchestra, sports, have a variety of things to go express yourself or try out, the funding was there behind it. It didn't fall back on the parents like, hey, your kid's they want to play football? Well, okay, you got to pay this much out of your pocket to pay for the equipment or their jerseys and everything else.
Right.
Where we went to school, that was all there. That was all provided for us. Yes, we had to buy, like lacrosse, we had to buy our own sticks and shoulder pads and stuff like that. But at least the uniforms were paid for.
Yeah.
And the basics. And they've cut back on so many programs that.
Right. So where's the money going?
Right.
Interesting question.
That's a whole other podcast.
In my school's defense, we got a full-time counselor last year. I saw exactly where that money was going. And it was awesome.
And now it's gone.
And again,
and now she's gone.
Another example of something,
COVID.
you put that on the ballot, that we're putting mental health experts in the schools.
And that's what it was.
Boom, pass.
And we got it passed.
Huge percentage.
Yes.
But we don't do that. We spend money on stupid shit because it's spent by politicians.
Oh,
Yes.
Yes.
Well, listen, we could probably talk about this all day. This has been...
But we're running out of beer.
We are running out of beer. We've been drinking a lot of Line Creek. This has been really fascinating. Appreciate you coming on.
Yes.
I can only say,
I'm very
Carrie...
passionate about education, so thank you.
First of all, I could only hope that the future of our teachers looks like you.
Thank you.
I am very impressed with your thoughts and your philosophies on education. I got to meet your kids last night. I was super impressed, very respectful. No surprise getting to know you a little bit more today. So,
thank you.
I really hope that you are the face of education in this country 10 years from now.
Yeah, I would hope so. I'm going to do my best. I'm going to my next step is mentoring teachers to really try to be that almost apprenticeship model Whether it's education or plumbing, whatever it is, we need to pass it down to the next generation.
Carrie Brown 2020.
I would trust my children with you.
Nice.
I do not trust my children with the Department of Education.
Yes.
I don't trust my animals with the Department of Education. I
wouldn't trust a can of orange juice with
I wouldn't trust Darren with the Department of Education, which is really insane.
That's bad.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
I could have a lot of fun with them.
Yes.
Anyway.
Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Yes, thank you for having me.
What'd you think of the Line Creek beer? Pretty good, huh?
It was good. I like the rum explosion party in your mouth one. That was fantastic.
Excellent. That's a fabulous segue because I could tell you a little more about that too.
Can you?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, good.
So next Saturday on the 18th of July, that is when they actually release Blind Wolf.
Oh, is that the name of it?
That is Blind Wolf.
Good stuff.
So on the 18th, they're actually going to release that. They're doing a donation drive on that day. And if you bring a jar of peanut butter and other items that are listed on the donation list, you will receive.
Are they filling a swimming pool?
Yeah, well,
peanut butter,
you know what?
Oreos.
They're going to give you one free pint of your choice if you bring a jar of peanut butter, and then the other items are things like youth underwear, socks, diapers, packet of toilet tissue, paper towels, et cetera, et cetera. So go to Line Creek's website, see what that is. If you bring a jar of peanut butter or anything else on that list, you'll get a free pint of beer.
Mr. Winnie?
Yeah.
I know what we're doing next weekend.
Does it have to be unopened?
Excellent.
Yes, John.
Can we put the peanut butter in balloons and fill up a pool with it?
Yes, we do.
Yes, we
and
do.
light it on fire.
That would be
I'm sure.
That's like 2 million hits on YouTube.
I'm telling you right now, we're going to break the internet right here.
So that's next Saturday. That's their donation drive. And then on Sunday, they're trying something brand new as well. They're going to have a farmer's market on Sunday the 19th.
Cool.
They've got a food truck, Frida Kahlo, and then live music. And they're going to have all kinds of people out there for the farmer's market, bringing fresh produce, everything else, you name it.
Everybody's invited.
Everybody's invited.
Even snowflakes.
Are the snow? I was just going to say that. Are the snowflakes coming?
Well,
just like
I don't see the name Snowflake on the list,
it's
but
the
there's
asterisk
a
to the very
ton
bottom.
of really great people out there.
Kumbaya.
So here's a beautiful thing about that. Mm-hmm. Gentlemen, you can take your spouse. She gets to enjoy the farmer's market while you get schnockered.
There you go. And then she could drive you home.
Yes. Do we have any more pints of that Blind Wolf?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
I'll take one.
That
rum
10.5%. You want that now?
More rum beer, please.
I'll tell you what, that does not taste like beer. That is like dessert in a glass right there.
Oh my God, it's so good.
You're going to have to bring it back to Colorado. You could start something out there, right? This is a local place, right?
Yeah, but I'm sure they could figure out distribution out there for you if you want it.
Can teachers get sponsors? I'm going to have to look into that.
Well, listen, if you need a lawyer that likes to, live on the bleeding edge, I've got one for you. So
excellent.
Class, today's lesson is brought to you by Line Creek Brewery.
I'm only mildly hungover.
And how about Overwatch technology?
Yeah,
Are they protecting your stuff today?
Yeah, you know what? You know why there's no Putins in my computer, Mr. Winnie?
You got Overwatch.
I do, yes. So if you use computers in your business, well, first of all, you're smart because if you try to... Could you imagine, Carrie, running a business without computers?
I could not.
Be dumb,
It would be dumb.
It tells you
you
what,
can't do it.
Yeah,
not smart.
Show me somebody who knows how to use an abacus and call them dumb. Okay?
I'm not going to do that.
That's a lot of topic. Sorry.
But yes, everybody's using computers, so you need to have them protected. If you had a software package that sounded Russian, that was your antivirus software, would you feel good about that?
I probably wouldn't.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
No.
So you need to use American-made software with American engineers.
Yes.
They're not Steam because they're not,
there's no...
No, they're STEM.
Artsy fartsy people in there.
They're not snowflakes.
They're not prancing around. They're fucking engineers.
America.
Like
there you go. Yeah.
So yes, go to overwatch.technology if you have one computer and you're an individual small business owner, or you've got hundreds, it doesn't matter. Call Overwatch, go to overwatch.technology, and they will hook you up.
And
Excellent.
what if you want to do a podcast?
Well, if you want to do a podcast, you can do it in your mom's basement, which is going to be bad.
Like Gary B.
Yes, Gary Billings from Indiana. He's got 37 subscribers. Or if you want to scale it, use Overwatch. Jesus Christ. Folks, this is a real podcast. We're actually talking here. And I had Blind Wolf.
Where are we?
Go to Launch and Go Workspace. We actually have a podcast studio. We're using all this fabulous technology.
Excellent. Yeah.
Can you believe we actually know how to use this?
It's impressive. You have me fooled. Let's put it that way.
Lots of nods.
So you thought I was an idiot last night?
I didn't say that out loud.
Didn't think it,
but you were thinking it.
Yeah, right.
She experienced.
Well, no, what she was thinking is, well, he's hanging around Darren, so he can't be that smart.
And then John came along.
Yeah,
and I thought, well, now here's another one.
So Larry Curly.
No wonder why they hide in the garage.
Yes. So don't. So if you're going to do a podcast, don't do it in your mom's basement. Come to Launch and Go. Right. Yep. It's really cool. You can bring your own computer and just plug into the mixer, or if you need full production support, you got it. Anything you need.
Mm-hmm. And if you got to get away from your kids during all this COVID stuff, we got private offices that you can rent.
Private offices available
for a day.
Drop in if you just need someplace to come in and work for a few hours. Just go to launchandgoworkspace.com. Right, Darren?
That's it.
Okay.
Nice. We're out of here.
Carrie, thanks so much for coming in. This has been a blast.
Thank you for having me.
And I appreciate you indulging us in all our passionate conversation here.
Yes.
And we really do thank you for what you do. I don't think teachers get enough credit.
Thank you.
All you hear is just, flack from parents.
Yeah.
So allow me.
Our heart's in the right place.
On behalf of all of our subscribers, thank you for what you do. Keep it up.
My pleasure. Yep.
See ya.